And in this house, the most dire, horrible event took place.
You are not content with the stories. Somebody's lives come. Be my victim.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoiral excess.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Evening all, and welcome to the 45th episode of Double Feature Horror Show. How are we all doing?
Oh, that tune every time, it's so hype. I love it.
I'm glad you like it, because I was very, very tempted to massively slack off today and do a sort of Red Right Hand remix of this.
Right, I don't like the sound of that.
I was a little, you know the song that's in Scream all the time. I've been a little hooked on it.
Well, you know what they say in Scream 4, don't frick with the original.
True. Oh, how timely, how timely. How about you chat? I'm seeing all the familiar faces. This is fantastic. I hope you've caught Scream. If you haven't, we are doing a spoiler section first, so you'll be fine. I'm going to have a banner on, so there's no danger of being spoiled. If you do not want to be spoiled, I've got you covered. And when did everyone see it?
I saw it on Friday.
Yes, first day as well. Charity, were you on the first day?
Yeah, I was first day. I was like 7 p.m. I know other people saw it earlier, but I also went and saw it again yesterday. Got a second watch in, so I could like fully come prepared for today.
Oh, that is dedication. That is good stuff.
And also because I absolutely loved it. So I was like, I was going to see it again anyway, but wanted to make sure I got it in before today.
No, I'm feeling the same. I'm feeling there's an independent near me that I'm sort of waiting out on, and hopefully if they get it, I'll go and watch it there. But if they don't, then it's going to be it'll be a return to the multiplex, basically.
Nice.
And I've just been notified I haven't pressed a button. There we go.
And yes, and I saw it Saturday. With my girlfriend, both enjoyed it, so that was good. Nice evening out. So there we go.
I was told, well, she told me that she got it straight away. She
Oh yeah, she just.
Oh, I should probably remind us here. Look, spoiler-free section.
Yes.
We won't give any details away. We're very good.
Yeah, no. Tash managed to. She like said to me halfway through the film, like, "Oh, it's probably X character is doing it," and I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense." And then she was right. So, and just so you know, it was the motive. Obviously, spoiler free. Obviously, no. I think this out of all Scream films, I think kind of these killers and their motivations were my favorite, and had probably the least contrivance out of all of them, bar the first one, I think. So
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. I
'Cause-
caught it first day. I caught my customary weird 2 p.m. showing. It's weird when you see a film in the cinema at 2 p.m. It's very weird. It's usually only about 6 other people in there. And almost always, I'm pretty sure one person's in there to get a recording of it. And that person is always a chap who comes in with about 1 minute to go, carrying a large bag straight up to the back of the row. So I don't know. Maybe I'm featuring in a cam rip somewhere on a torrent site. Who knows? It could happen. Yeah. Now, Charity, you mentioned you've seen it twice. Did anything change for you between the two viewings?
I didn't, not in terms of like if it made me like it less. I kind of noticed a lot more details that I missed on the first one. For me, when I first watched it, the pacing felt really, really fast. And I was like, that was really weird. Like, how was this film 2 hours? But I think that was because I was very anxious watching it. And I think second time around, it was still fast paced, but it wasn't as bad. And I also noticed a few little details here and there that I didn't pick up on first time.
Am I going to be able to ask for those details, or would they be spoilery?
Not
I realise
spoilery.
this is a danger.
Not spoilery for the who the killer is and things like that, but just one big one that I saw was, I don't know how many people in the chat have seen Scream 4. Obviously, we talked about it last week, but one thing that I did love was on one of the scenes, the character's looking at the computer screen and they're watching YouTube videos, and in the corner you can just make out where it says interview with Woodsboro survivor Kirby Reed, and that for me was really good because I loved Kirby in Scream 4, and the fact that she's alive still is, I quite like that.
Yeah, I didn't notice that at all, but I gather it is a blink and you'll miss it thing. And there were some other how can I say? There are things I didn't catch that people pointed out that were very good clues to who the killers were. And I'm looking forward to going back and looking for them. I didn't catch them, so hoping a second viewing is going to work. In a spoiler-free way, then I'll start with you, TCG. What would your spoiler-free comments be? Which is essentially, I suppose, should people go and see it? Should be the conclusion of that bit.
So yeah, for me, spoiler-free. Well, if we talk about the characters, I think that the acting in this film by the new cast was pretty good. There were some standout performances for me, with, oh goodness, her name's escaping me. Jenny Ortega's character.
I've just got her in my brain as Jenny Ortega. Is it Tara?
Tara, that's it. Yeah. So Tara for me was one of the standout actresses in this movie. I thought she did a really good job. Sam Carpenter's character, Sam, I should say, was quite an interesting sort of angle to go at, and I'm sure we'll obviously talk about that later. And yeah, I thought the new guys did pretty well at establishing themselves. I felt like I could care about them in this film. With regards to the legacy characters, I think of the three, I think one of them had a justified return. The other two, with another one, I can understand, but one of them I was like, yeah, did they need to be here? But you know, they're the legacy cast, and it's just, I suppose it's just natural that they would be there in the film. The first two acts of the film I thought were pretty good. I know that, yeah, like Charity said, the pacing to begin with was quite fast tempo. It kind of felt like, it didn't feel like I was there for 2 hours when I watched the film. Yeah, it did feel a little bit quicker in certain. It felt quicker, like say for the first sort of hour of the film, and then I felt like it slowed down a little bit. But then when we got to the third act, I was a bit like, no. There were some bits that sort of ruined earlier bits for me. But on the whole, I would say it was a pretty solid installment into the franchise. And from what I've seen on social media with regards to the box office numbers, it's definitely outperforming the fourth one, and it looks like that potential sequels are on the cards. So, yay!
Yeah. It's a weird one. Spoiler free. It works very well as a finale, as a proper final entry in the series. But you could see them doing something more with it. But for me, it's a very satisfying end, certainly for the legacy characters.
Yeah. I think if they're gonna make new, because I do think they're using it as a springboard to make a new trilogy.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think it's a great end for the legacy characters. I really, where the film ends for them, I think is a really good place. So I think if they do make any new ones, they shouldn't come back for it. I know they probably will, because whatever reasons, but like I think. Yeah, so it's good. I think if they want to make new ones, focus on the new characters. I think
definitely. Yeah, definitely focus on the new characters. I mean, as I say, with the three characters, I could understand one definitely, obviously had a place being there. Another one, I can understand why they gave you, obviously the film gave that person a good reason to return. With another one, it was like, no, you need to stay out of this one. There's no real need for you to be there. You've had your moment, and it's time to sail off into the sunset. But no, like I say, I think the new guys did well, contrary to some other people's opinions. I think that if this is a springboard for a new trilogy, I think they've put themselves in a good position for it, to be honest.
And how about you, Haryan? How did you feel about the new cast? The new characters.
Yeah, pretty hit and miss. Some of them I definitely liked and thought, they were pretty good, as we say. Was it Tara?
Yeah,
Tara. Tara.
Yeah, she was definitely the best out of them. Sam's character, Sam's actress, was a bit hit and miss at times. The film was really trying to find a tone that kind of going between, as Scream always does, between almost a parody and like really high stakes murder. And I think the cast were doing what they needed to do when they needed to do it. I mean, that's kind of my take on the characters. With the legacy characters, I think they did one particular one quite dirty, and the other two were fine.
Gee, I wonder who we could be talking about. I'll find out in the spoiler section later.
You can see there is split opinion. That is. It's fine. It's fine. We're going to spend a certain amount of the spoiler section addressing one of the hotter takes on Scream.
Oh yeah. And when it came to what everyone watches Scream, well, not what everyone watches Scream for. What I really like about Scream is like kind of how they do the murder scenes. They had some of the best and some of the worst in the series in this film.
That's quite interesting.
Some I really liked, and some I was like, "Wow, this is what?"
Yeah, I do feel actually with some of the better ones, they kind of they didn't kind of they definitely upped the tempo. I think from the fourth one, and the fourth one was the one where they said, the kills are going to be up, the tempo, the violence is going to be increased, and I feel like they've just in some of those kills they sort of cranked it up with just the sheer violence and aggression of those kills. Sometimes
I found myself wincing several times.
Yeah, there were a couple when Ghostface was going at it, and I'm just like, oh gosh, right, ouch. You're feeling that one.
Yeah,
it's less about the guts and the gore. It's more the way that they're done. Like it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, the aggression is just. It's not something I've seen before in a Scream film. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that made it very interesting, and I think you said it to me as well that this seemed like a Ghostface who was very aggressive. And when you said that, I thought, yes, this was a Ghostface who felt like. How can I say, like someone else's iteration of him in a good way. And I put something out there. I think one thing Scream has done very well, Scream 5, I'm going to go back and forth for the whole stream over what I call it. Apologies in advance. But I think something it did incredibly well was learn the lessons from Scream 4. So 2 examples would be it copied something Scream 4 did well, which was make the violence feel real. So big contrast to Scream 3. The deaths felt like they had a lot of impact. There was a lot of pain in the movie, which was something Jenny Ortega's character was very good at selling, and I think that really helped remind you why you care. But the other thing it learnt from Scream 4 was to time the focus properly. You remember my big problem with Scream 4 was we were so split between legacy characters and new characters that I never got the feeling I should care about the new ones.
Yeah.
This one, brilliant choice. It grounded you with all the new characters first before it brought the legacy characters back in. So, excellent choice.
Yeah, I was going to say, if one of the things you can praise it on was the fact that the film makes you want to care about and not makes you want to care, but you go away like as the film goes on, you start to care a little bit about the characters, and you start to feel like you're getting to know them. And whereas Scream 4, it just didn't do that. There was no, I think, with the exception of Kirby, who was pretty decent. The rest were just sort of like you just consider them cannon fodder, really. Get them out of the way. I don't really care if X lives or dies, but in this one it was like, oh mate, no, don't do that. No, no. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
They definitely made the film stands out. I think one of the things that I kind of had the opinion of, and when I was speaking to other people, was they did for this film they changed the formula of Scream, not too drastically, but they changed it in a way that makes the film stand out among the other ones. And I think that's especially important when you bring in a new cast. So the fact that they made little changes to the format, I think, and one of those changes is the characters and the way that they introduce the new characters and contrast them with the old ones. They've put themselves in a good position, I think, for the sequels.
Yeah, I would be tempted. It'll work if it's ending here, but I would absolutely watch another one from this team.
Yeah, I don't think it's ending here. Even if they decide not to do a sequel, like in the next year or two, like with Scream 4, give it 5-10 years and it'll probably be another one. I can't imagine that this would be the end of it. And like I say, in terms of the character building in this film, they've set themselves up really well to reintroduce characters from this film in the next one, like they did with the first Scream and the second Scream. They, those legacy characters that transitioned over into the second film, you still cared about them. You still wanted, them to come out of it alive. And I think they can really sort of add some sort of drama into a sequel and actually make you think, okay, which one of you guys ain't safe now? Because you one or two of you might have got lucky in in Scream 5, but Randy got lucky in Scream 1.
You just made me think of something. Like, maybe this is something that Scream as a whole, the Scream series as a whole, has not done particularly well. Is that I'm racking my brains, and I know you're probably going to say, what about this person? What about this person? My brain is running slow tonight, guys. But Scream out hasn't really done a good job, as far as I can think, of keeping new characters. Like, was there anyone introduced in Scream 2 who carried on beyond that?
No.
The only person I can think of that they've kept is Judy Hicks.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
And I think
wasn't even good.
And there's one other character as well that they kept on, which we'll get into the spoiler section, but you don't see that person.
Oh.
Yeah.
They gave themselves room to dodge if it was still that character or not.
Yeah, I think it's been confirmed since it was.
Nice. There's something else I want to close on before we get into, because I think we can talk about it quite freely in the spoiler-free section, which is something I absolutely loved, was how I just got the feeling that this was a loving tribute.
Well, they said that.
Yeah.
So much meta in there, right? So many gorgeous little details of character continuity. There's not just cheap Easter eggs like that were fine. Like, did you guys notice the Elm Street sign?
Yes.
Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
It's little cute things like in Dewey's trailer. There's he's got Tatum's ashes and a little sign for his sister.
That.
Yeah.
And this is like, Tatum hasn't been mentioned basically since the first film. That was a lovely decision. You got the little note on the fridge in Jude
Lemon Squares.
Was Sheriff Judy Hicks now?
It was, yes.
The lemon squares. Like,
Oh, I love that.
What about Wes Craven's hat in Stu's house towards the end?
no.
Yeah, his hat's the hat, his like trademark hat was there. And also, I'm pretty sure the umbrella from the first film was sort of like subtly referenced when a bit later on in the film there's a character going towards the front door and there's two umbrellas there, and one of them is clearly the same umbrella that Sydney used in the first one. I was like, ah.
Oh, it definitely is. Well, there were others, I'm sure, and of course the whole thing. I can say this without it. I think I can dodge any spoilers with this. You find out very early on. Sheriff Hicks has a son now called Wes. That's a great, and this is basically the excuse for them to have signs saying "for Wes" in the background in the finale, and that was just. I thought really well judged.
You know what else I liked when they talk about tributes? Well, not so much tributes, but just sort of homages. You've got Sam's character. So her surname in the film's Carpenter. Actually, no, we'll save it for the spoilers.
Careful there.
yeah, we'll save it for the spoilers. Now. Let me know when, and I'll just jump straight in with it.
I think we're probably pretty much there. I guess the only question I'll round off the spoiler-free section with is, would you recommend people go and see it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
I'd say watch the previous Screams first.
Oh, that goes without saying, yeah.
Maybe 1 and 4.
You need 3. Well, you don't need 3 for 1 scene, but there's a homage to 3.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
1 and 4 probably the most important though. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's a definite watch for me. I was very happy with it. I came out of it full of hype, and even post hype, I enjoyed it. So, shall we move into the spoiler section?
Yes.
Nah.
Oh.
No spoilers for anyone.
So, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week when we cover.
Okay. I've got to get it as a ticker, otherwise it's kind of weird and it blocks everyone out. There we go. How nice is that? Beautiful. But before we start talking spoilers, we're on YouTube, so you know what to do, guys.
You got to creep up behind that subscribe button and stab it quickly through the jugular.
Oh.
Yeah. Pin that subscribe button up against the door and slowly push on it until it's fully pierced and you're wincing, and then you rip it out again. And
you've got to wait for the disgruntled ex-sheriff to slowly walk toward you while he's loading his projectile weapon that he can shoot from a range until he's at stabbing position, and then wait until his phone goes off so he's distracted, and then stab that favorite button through the heart.
Let me just
absolutely burn it into oblivion.
Yeah.
In a kitchen.
Or you could just like the stream like Judy Hicks likes making lemon squares.
Oh.
See?
Perfect.
Don't have to be so violent all the time, guys.
Perfect. There we go. I think that was borderline professional shilling. But as ever, I have fun doing this. I love seeing the regulars in the chat. It's always good seeing you guys, keeping it nice and lively and hearing what you thought of the films that we've talked about. But of course, I'm not going to complain if it gets busier and we have more people in the party. That would be lovely. And I think maybe the stuff we cover isn't the most algorithmically friendly. So best thing you can do to help us out is subscribe if you haven't already, and share this around with anyone you think might enjoy it. That is a shilling done.
Done. One and done.
All right.
Right, now we're in the spoils section. I'm going to finish off what I was going to say beforehand. So, Sam Carpenter.
Yes.
What I love
character.
about that character is, in terms of the homage, is obviously her surname is Carpenter, which was homage to John Carpenter. We all know that Kevin Williamson loved Halloween. But her surname, we'll get to why, is Loomis. Which, of course, if you took her surname and replaced it with Loomis, you have Sam Loomis, who was the name of the doctor in Halloween, Dr. Samuel Loomis.
Yes.
I love that layered Halloween reference. It was pretty cool.
Sorry, I just noticed the picture.
Yeah.
Well, we're just a bunch of movie veterans now hanging about discussing sequels. What else?
Oh no, I don't know about that. I don't know about me. I'm still learning.
I've had a dilemma. Like, usually I can get screen caps of everything we discuss, but I can't for Scream. I didn't want to pirate it, so I've got a grab bag of images, and I thought I'd make this up for us.
Nice.
Yeah. I've got some others. We'll get on to them. But I suppose one thing we should really discuss now we're in the spoiler section is, our predictions.
Yeah. Can we not?
I can. I'm happy
I
to
can't
talk about
believe
mine.
I can't believe Stu was the killer, man.
Oh no, right? I was so on the I was so on the ball with that.
So one of the reasons I want to watch it again is that I just ended up. I was so convinced, I was hooked, and I was just waiting for it, and I felt they were baiting us so hard with that.
Throughout,
Right.
I mean, let's talk about that opening scene for a start. When there are so many mirrors to Scream 1 in that bit. You know, when Jenny Ortega's like, or Tara, you know, she's leaning across the kitchen counter, is on the phone, and she sort of like plays with the knives like Drew Barrymore does in the first film. She's cooking something on the stove like Drew Barrymore was. Granted, it wasn't popcorn. And then, you know, it gets to the you want to play a game moment where, spoilers, you're in this section now, tough. The killer turns around and pretends to be their mum's boyfriend from Alcoholics Anonymous. And what I loved about this is Roger L. Jackson started off with his normal voice, and as that scene went on, he gradually went into that Scream voice. Did any of you guys notice that?
Yeah, that opening scene, brilliant.
That was probably, I'm going to rank it now, probably the second best of the 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, just when he starts playing the game and he's like, name the killers in Stab, and then she's like, it's Billy Loomis, and he's like, no, it's Billy Loomis and Stu Marker, and I'm like,
yeah,
they're gonna,
Exactly.
this is gonna be
Stu.
exactly, this is all gonna be about forgetting about Stu, and Stu's like, hello, I'm still here, and that might still have happened.
Do you want to know how much you'd convinced me?
Go for it.
I was still waiting at the end.
So was I.
Yeah, they're being taken away in the ambulance, and I thought the driver would turn around. It's Stu.
Yeah.
I was waiting.
I couldn't believe it, man. They brought one person back, and I'm thinking, right, they can bring that geezer back, but they can't bring Stu into this. Like, logistics, man. Come on.
For me, I had the opposite. Going in, because I think last week I said, like, I was like watching the slideshow you put together, like, this makes perfect sense. They could very easily bring him back. But then when I saw that they brought Skate Ulrich back as a little cameo thing, I was like, no, they are not bringing Stu back in this film. And I think it's perfectly in keeping with the logic of the film, talking about like the fandom, for them not to bring him back, but instead go with Skate Ulrich, because it's like there's a certain part of the fandom that really wants Stu to come back, and I think it kind of that for me, I loved that detail of like it made perfect sense for them not to bring him back.
I also think it. Yeah, it's good you mentioned that actually, because I actually have a theory about Sam's character, and I think we're going to talk about Actual Justice Warriors video. When he's reviewing this in a bit.
Oh, do we have to?
Because one of his criticisms were there were 3 Sydneys in this film, and I don't think that there were 3 Sydneys. Don't know where he gets that, but I think that in potentially future Screams, I don't know whether it would be the next one or the one after that. Maybe Stu might even come back in between, but I do think Sam's being lined up not to be the next Sydney. I genuinely think that's going to be Tara, because by God, she got a raw deal in this movie, didn't she? I mean, she got the shish kebab kicked out of her in this movie.
Yeah, I have no idea how she's alive.
Yeah, but I actually think they're lining up Sam to be a future killer.
Ooh.
They'd have to. I'm open to that idea. I just think that I hope that it's better done than just like, oh, crazy girl is crazy.
Well, yeah, I
she
mean,
kills people.
but again, they were sort of like, they were alluding to it at the beginning. So yeah, for the guys who haven't seen this yet and who are still mad enough to be here, Sam is the sister of Tara, older sister of Tara, but she is the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis. So it turns out he was getting more than just PG-13 with some of the other girls in Woodsboro at the time.
Well, Sydney gave him the PG-13 relationship, remember?
Yeah, and some other girl gave him the NC-17. I'm assuming. But yeah, so she goes a little bit. She finds out when she's about 13 years old. There's a bit of exposition that sort of goes into that bit, and yeah, she starts to go a little bit mad, and she starts having hallucinations, and it's established early on that she's on the antipsychotic meds because Stu pops up in no, it's not Stu. Billy pops up in the mirror. It's like, oh, those antipsychotic meds aren't working as well as they used to, and you're kind of like, what the frick is he still doing here? What's going on? And he's dressed in exactly the same way he was left in the first film, white shirt, bloodied up. No, but he didn't have a bullet hole in his head. I will mention that. And obviously she's wrestling with the fact that her father was a serial killer, and she's worried about carrying those genes, blah, blah, blah. Now...
She kind of does.
Yeah.
Stabbing Richie at the end, I was kind of like, oh.
And what was it? What was interesting was I was actually watching the latest season of Dexter that came out not long ago, and they essentially Harrison's character was kind of wrestling with his own dark passenger in that, and Sam's character sort of had, for me, echoes of what Harrison would be, or even Dexter, because for those who've seen Dexter, he obviously goes around with a dark passenger, quote unquote. It's normally either his father, or in the most recent season was his sister.
That's going to be so confusing to people who don't know the series.
All right, nutshell.
Is he a taxi driver or something?
He is nutshell. He works in Miami Metro Police Department as a blood spatter analyst in the earlier seasons. But he also moonlights as a serial killer, but he only goes for people that basically have escaped justice. He has a code, and he has like a dark passenger. It's essentially just hallucinations of his dad essentially giving him guidance, and that basically was what Sam's character was. She was Dexter trying to hold back the dark passenger, and you had Billy kind of like egging her on in her mind. It sort of mirrored that massively for me. It worked, and like I say, I think they've got potential to take Ghostface to a place where it hasn't been before. Because one of the things about this movie is that, especially in the fandom, there was always speculation that one of the good guys could go bad, whether it be Sydney, whether it be Gale, or even Dewey, Dewey was like the massive the mastermind behind it all, for reasons I'm not even going to bother going into. But I feel like with Sam, they could actually do that, because essentially she could just lose control. Exactly, yeah. So there'll always be that seed of doubt when it comes to her.
Sorry, Charity.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I always choose the wrong moments to talk. But I actually thought it was really lovely how they did that though, because I like the idea that it was, she's got this like part of her that's evil and like not evil but like violent, and she's got Billy as a dad and he's talking to her and stuff. But I thought it was a really nice touch that they did that, but they did it in a positive way. Like she used that to take down one of the killers rather than her be the killer herself. So
Yeah, but did you see how she switched?
yeah,
It wasn't just, you know, I'm doing this to defend myself. It looked like she was enjoying it.
Yeah.
I mean, Haryan criticised Sydney in Scream 3 for the overkill. I mean,
Yeah, this was overkill.
that was overkill plus on steroids and antipsychotic drugs. You know, this was...
it was so good as well.
It was good.
Really loved it.
It was good, but, you know, that's what I'm saying. It sort of plants the seed. You know, she looked like she enjoyed that at that moment. Like, she'd let go and essentially become her true self in that moment. And I feel like they could do it.
Yeah. Just one little side note. What added to that scene for me was the little one-liner she does as well.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm adding a new rule. Never F with the daughter of a serial killer.
Yeah.
I'll
Good
say
save, Charity. You saved it.
this. I tell you what. This film had so many one-liners, and every one of them just landed perfectly for me.
Yeah.
There's definitely one of the funniest ones. My worry, if you remember back to the Ready or Not stream, I was worried that they would go too heavy on the comedy in this. No. Very
they
well
did it.
balanced.
Yeah.
Perfect
Very,
balance.
very well balanced.
Watching Ready or Not really, like, that for me was like, okay, well, I'm actually, now that I've seen this, I'm like, yeah, this team's good. Like, I think it's in good hands. So I was still anxious going in, obviously, because it's a big franchise to take over. But I thought, no, they've got this. And then partway through the film, I was like, yeah, no, this is, I think I'm going to be quite happy.
And do you want to know what's really, something I found really impressive about this?
Go on.
This is going to sound like I'm negging, but it's not intended that way. The writers are not people that I thought would turn in a good product.
Oh, really?
Like, they're not... Yeah, the directors are absolutely fine. The writers, bless them, James Vanderbilt, is it Guy Busick, I think? Let me confirm. Guy Busick. The impression I get of them from what they've worked on is basically standard writers for hire. Like,
Right.
they've done lots of stuff, but it's kind of been all over the place, big studio fare. And I thought, I mean, let me go with James Vanderbilt. I'll read you some of the things he's written, okay?
Okay.
Darkness Falls, which was an Australian horror about the Tooth Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazing Spider-Man. Independence Day. Resurgence.
Oh no, not the first. So it wasn't even the first one. I love the first one. Hated the PlayStation game, but I love the first film.
Yeah. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, White House Down.
Oh.
Right, right. But also did Zodiac.
Oh,
Also
okay.
did Basic. Also did Ready or Not. So, you know,
It seems better with horror then.
Yeah. I think
And-
he was also set to do Slender Man. No, sorry, he got rights to it and he didn't do it. Never mind.
The thing is, though, I
Correct.
think I watched an interview with both the directors, and from the way that they spoke about making this film, it sounded like it came from a genuine place of love. Like they really. Like for them, like for many people who sort of watch Scream as their first horror movie, you know, this film, or the film back then, you know, it changed horror. It was something that was on the decline at the time, the whole horror genre, and this film brought new energy, brought new audiences, and these people, the two directors were very, very positive in that, and they were like, you know, they inspired us, and they inspired us to go into film, and you know, these are films that we cherish. We really understand the fan base. We know what we know what it takes to make a good Scream film, because we are like one of the fans. And you know, and I'll say, with that, you know, there are issues I have with this film, but on the whole, I do feel like the effort they made was a genuine one. You know?
Yeah. And I think that shows that I came out of this and I just thought this is made by someone who loves Scream.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Now, we took a bit of an L on the Stu prediction, even though I think the defense to that is that we were baited to expect it. We're baited into suspecting Stu. But something that you got right, you said one of the themes would, well, actually several of you got this right. I think TCG, you said one of the main meta themes would be fan service.
Yep.
Haryan and Charity, I think you both said toxic fan base would be a topic.
Yeah.
So congrats, nailed it.
And it was basically the entire film.
Yeah. I think we should go onto that as a springboard for discussing. Oh, sorry.
Before we do, can I just mention I was right about one other thing as well. I did say Stu would survive this horror film.
True.
Because he's not dead yet. So just I'm telling you, he ain't dead yet.
Do we know he's alive?
He was meant to be in the third one. Shut up, Haryan.
I will say,
But he was electrocuted by a 90s TV as well.
Well, exactly. Well, but again, he was supposed to be in the third one despite that. So
he's had time to recover.
He's had a cool and soothe and a paracetamol. So
he has a lot of tramadol.
Walked it off.
Yeah.
I'll point this out. So in my predictions, I was right that Gale and Stewie Gale and Dewey separated. I predicted that Stab will have been rebooted. I was kind of right. It was dealing with a Stab reboot.
It was a Ryan Johnson reboot.
Well, yeah, they don't. It was supposed to be the TLJ, and TLJ is kind of, as I was saying, it's a requel, which is not a word I've heard before. But they were insisting, all the fan boards are calling them requels. They're not quite reboots, but they're not quite sequels. It's like,
what? I don't get that, because reboots they all bring in the legacy characters. It doesn't seem.
Yeah.
That's why they say soft reboot or hard reboot, don't they?
I think it was their way of trying to introduce a trendy new word, like when the Flash, the CW TV show, tried using the word shway, because apparently in the 22nd century or whatever, that's quite a hip term.
Oh dear.
The whole show is utter cringe now.
Oh dear. I also said I said Scream 4 will be memory hold as far as possible.
I don't think it was.
You got Sheriff Hicks.
Well, actually, no. I'll take that back. No, I think it was because of what they did to the fourth character, to the fourth franchise.
Yeah.
Characters. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that.
And then when Wes is talking to Mindy, like that, Mindy he says like, "Hey, my mum was involved in one of those," and she went, I think the line was, "No one cares about the inferior sequels."
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know what? And he was the next one. Yeah, he was the next.
That was such a dick thing to say, because she got shot, and it's like, yeah, no one cares your mum got shot. I'm like, Jesus, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mindy was like impressively sociopathic. Total Sigma.
Yeah.
I thought she was the killer after that.
Yeah, she had a couple of things where she was like, "Oh, that is not socially well adjusted." I also predicted, and I took the L on this one, that multiple of the original three get killed off. I said this would be a clean slate sweep. I expected basically only Sydney to survive. I'll take the L.
I thought that. Well, I said that Dewey and Gale would die, admittedly as well. I didn't think Sydney would, but I definitely thought those two would go in some sort of like hold hands, die together moment.
The amount of people that survived this film was absurd, by the way. I do want to throw that out there. How many people survived stabbing? Like 4 people survived a stabbing, and then 2 of them survived bullet wounds.
Well, that's a good point actually, because we haven't mentioned it. The opening scene done something that hadn't been done before in this film, and Tara, she took an absolute beating, and a few stab wounds, and mate, that bit when he stomped on her leg and broke it. Grim.
That went savage.
Yeah, but by God damn it, she survived.
Yeah.
I really like
Never done.
the fact that she survived. Like it's a subtle change to the formula. It's not something too drastic, but it's enough to keep the film its own.
It wasn't as drastic as the fourth film.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was much better than before.
Yeah. I mean, it won't take much to. It doesn't take much to improve on that. To be honest, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But when I say that, I mean more in terms of like in each film, like the opening scene has people dying in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I think you're right. Just the decision to keep her going on. This is part of to not have her kill her off and have her survive. I think was a very clever move to ground it, to remind you. I know. Look, hey, we're 5 films in now, but these are humans. They hurt. You should care about them. They're not just disposable. Brilliant choice. I think a really brilliant choice. Now, hopefully they won't do her dirty again in a follow-up, because she suffered enough for like 3 films in this.
Yeah.
She's going to be either one of 2 characters. She's either going to be the franchise's new Sydney, or she's going to be the franchise's new Dewey.
I was going to say she's already out.
Yeah, exactly. She's limping harder than he was. You know,
I think
Chad's
the
more
new
likely
Dewey.
to be the Dewey.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, because he bloody hell, he took a beating as well.
Yeah.
Well, and he was
thought
doing the
it's-
thumbs up thing.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
the-
yeah.
that was
the
Chad,
thumb-
though, wasn't it? Yeah.
Chad giving the
Yeah,
thumbs up
yeah.
at the end to show he survived. You know, obvious it's a Dewey callback.
Yeah.
Yes. I did think it was a bit cheeky that he lived, but to be honest, he was my favourite character. So
He deserved it.
yeah, he was great. He was great. Yeah, and the whole way they did this, I thought this opening just great. It felt very true, very wisely. It dealt with the fact that horror has mostly moved on from slashers. And so it felt like the challenge of this scene was to come in and say, look, I know everyone is all about social messaging horror and deep psychological horror and quick Blumhouse cheapies that are more supernatural, but this is a slasher film that can still work. You know, that's what it felt it was saying to me.
Yeah, and I think it worked to good effect.
Do we want to deal now with the contentious issue of how to interpret this film?
Why not?
Hang on,
Well, we've already briefly mentioned what the themes were.
Yeah. I thought that might be a good springboard, but we can move on to it. We might have a.
Oh, Maverick, have you seen this film yet? Because, well,
Maverick,
mind you, if Billy Loomis can return, then
yeah.
I don't see.
Just while we're on this, Dissection Limbs. I
God.
have not seen that at all. I haven't seen anything about Evil Dead. I know that Fede Alvarez was he did the 2013 Evil Dead soft reboot, and I absolutely loved that. But it kind of stalled after that. They didn't really get anything going apart from the Evil Dead Ash v Evil Dead series. He'd done a poll to try and see what people wanted him to do next, and people overwhelmingly went with Evil Dead 2 instead of Don't Breathe 2.
I thought Bruce Campbell would step down from.
He said he had.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'll have to look into that. That's exciting. It's an exciting one. So let's just say not everyone was as happy with Scream 5 as we were. Now I like Actual Justice Warrior. I've gotten into him recently. I can't remember who put me onto him, but I kind of like his analysis.
Probably Adam and Sitch. That's how
Yeah,
I
it
know
might. It could have been. It might have been. It might have been your boy Carl. But
Or him, yeah.
Yeah, we are Actual Justice Warrior appreciators. Julius Jones was guilty, so if he does watch this, he knows where I stand on that, at least.
yeah. So that is to get out the way. This is not a dunking.
No.
But I am going to quite disagree with his take on this, but at the same time, I think I see why he has this interpretation. And he thinks that Scream 5 is woke trash. Do we want to go? Does anyone want to start off with his sort of arguments?
They're stupid.
Very.
Well, one of
Harry,
his
being diplomatic, damn it.
Right, actually, just quickly, I did message him to see if he wanted to come on to stream. Unfortunately,
Yes.
I appreciate he's probably buried in messages, so
Yeah.
I doubt he's seen this. So he had the opportunity to answer to these allegations.
Yeah, I mean the one that stuck out for me, where he was saying it's woke trash, was basically basically everyone who dies in this film is white. Apparently, both the killers are technically white, but one is clearly not white.
Minorities. And the thing is, when I was watching this, he was mentioning the fact that no minorities died and there was no minority killers. And he was like, that's because they can't do anything wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, mate, I didn't even think of this stuff until you've just mentioned it.
Yeah,
No, the movie did a very good job of it. Like, it's clear to me that they didn't include like diverse characters just to be like woke, and like they did it very well.
Yeah. We were saying Horrorshow actually, because we were saying privately that Mindy's character in particular, I think they did really well with, because you could some people could look at her character and think, oh, diversity higher, because she's obviously mixed race. She's a lesbian in this film, or bisexual in this film.
Yeah,
but they don't make any reference to it. She is
getting off with the girl once.
Yeah, like in the same way that if you're just turning around to someone going, oh yeah, I'm just gonna cop off with her later. It was literally like that. But the thing is, she is quite clearly a fleshed out character, with her own background, her own motives, her own motivations. It's not just look at me, I'm X, look at me, I'm Y, look at me, I'm this, aren't I fantastic? There was none of that. So when I saw this title, I thought, is he baiting us? Is he baiting us?
Yeah, if I can hop on that, I had some moments where I worried. Now, I can see why he thinks that. I can see why he thinks it's full woke. And when I say full woke, I mean the kind of Black Christmas Candyman, absolutely cram it down your throat. Just basically put out the agenda with no metaphor, no filter, just literally have someone talk about white supremacy, right?
Yeah.
That's what I expected he would mean. But I'm thinking of someone like Mindy. I would think if she were woke, maybe you can say I'm bending the knee a bit here, but she was subtle for 2022. Okay,
very subtle. I'm
not doing this very well, but this could have been so easy that she could have been screaming about it from the start. But we find out towards the end, yes, she wears a bit of an identity badge and she cops off with a girl. But I think, as I said to you, this is one gay character in 5 films. We'll survive.
They literally have but they literally have characters on entire shows on Netflix which are centered around some like a character, not a character, in the entire cast sexuality. I think what is it? There's that like spy show.
Yeah,
like
Queer Eye.
That's that. You can call that woke trash. This, on the other hand, it wasn't that. Okay, yeah. So what? She's mixed and she's gay. Or listen, so what? She's gay. Who cares? She doesn't. She doesn't make it a big deal. She's this she's her own character. You wouldn't.
I think he's got a very specific mindset on those issues, and I think it's kind of. It appears to me. Obviously, I don't watch all of his videos, but I think it appears to me that he's allowed that to completely cloud his view.
That's what I thought.
And so he's gone in watching it and has just come with those preconceived notions.
Well, he's done the meme. He's done the meme that woke people do, where it's like, oh, they just think anything with a black man is woke. But he did that unironically, and it's not a good look.
And he said the characters were boring as well. And I was like, nah.
He said that all the time. That was his only criticism that I ever heard until he got to Dewey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I felt like Dewey was probably the best version of Dewey, but also, in some aspects, the worst.
If we can hold off on Dewey, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think there's so much we can say about him, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
again on Mindy, like it's a constant problem. Like you know, I've got my rainbow points here. I hate most LGBT characters. They're usually terrible, and they usually never shut up about whatever the current issue is. It's such a pain in the
Racist.
butt. Mindy didn't do it. And in the bit where they are in the Meeks Martin household, I did get a worry. You know, there's a bit where she says,
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Peele
Peele's
is
the goat.
amazing.
She says it's
which-
the goat.
Yeah, not a fan of that. But also, that's kind of realistic for a Gen Z person, I think. And I thought, realistically, if this were written by someone else, if this were woke, she would have had like ages to just go on a tirade about how everything was too white, too straight, etc., etc. They could have done that, and I was worried they were going to do that, and they didn't.
No, they could have done a start of Scream 2 woman, but unironically. They didn't.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk woke. I mean, you've got Jada Pinkett Smith in Scream 2. That was in your face, almost like black nationalist type casting. You know, I mean, she was not liking.
She was full on.
She was full on, and that was what 1997.
Yes.
Yeah.
I suppose that was in a way even slightly refreshing, because I don't think the messaging, the woke messaging was, or anything like that was that popular back then.
Well, I think that was that. Yeah, again, you know, with I suppose at that time, I mean that character was almost it sort of fed into a character, though, innit? She had to come off as insufferable, and that was the way that they did it, through her essentially just being racist towards white people.
Yeah, whereas
then you get the change in perception when obviously, you know, she's alone, and you know, she starts worrying. You know, you can tell she's visibly scared and a bit like timid, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, actually, yeah, she's just a bit. You know, she's just a bit of a sensitive soul, and then
Scary Movie did the cinema scene better, I think. A lot more realistically.
they just took that and just carried on with it. They didn't do it in switch.
Yeah, it was probably what would more realistically happen if you had someone like that in the cinema.
Yeah.
I think I've just got BK's message up here, because I think he's right. I think if you are spending your time looking at the worst of the woke stuff, you just end up a bit too calibrated to detect it, and you're going to get a false positive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened here. You know, and that leads us to the discussion basically of is this defending The Last Jedi?
No, not at all.
I actually had quite a few. As I was watching the video, I just like wrote down a load of stuff that I was thinking, like as I was watching it and stuff.
Go for it.
Just the first bit is when he keeps referring to Scream 4 as critiquing soft reboots. It literally wasn't. It was about remakes, which was the thing that had been happening in the late 2000s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the early 2010s. So got that wrong. And then I think that the commentary in Scream is actually quite balanced. You have a lot of different, like even like when they're talking about how some of the toxic fans were about Stab 8, even Mindy herself turns to the other character who says that she liked that one. That's because you have no taste. Like she's criticizing the film herself. And then at the end, when Gail and Sydney take down Amber, she turns around and she goes, "No, wait, I was radicalized. It was the message boards." And Gail goes, "What, by
From a
you were
movie?
radicalized by movie fans? Like, really?" So I don't know where he got it from.
I think it's reading it completely uncritically. So like 3 points. In this movie they have Rian Johnson direct Stab 8.
Yeah, I know.
This is Stab 8. If this is defending The Last Jedi, then chrome-plated Ghostface with a flamethrower is good.
Yeah.
I don't think this film is saying that.
Oh,
I
and
think this is showing it to be as ridiculous as possible. 2,
yeah,
this film is about people going back to the beginning, like go back to basics to make it good. If they are defending The Last Jedi, then they have to be saying that that is wrong, which means their approach to the movie is wrong. I don't think they're going to make a movie that they think is terrible to defend Rian Johnson.
no. And I also love that. I also love that Sean was saying the YouTube section of it was a direct criticism of the critical drinker and the quartering. Like he targeted those two people
so
specifically. He was like, if you're watching, well, not obviously like, but he was, it was like, yeah, you heard this. It's going after the critical drinker and the quartering, and I was like, oh my god, man, you've completely lost me now.
She literally says 4chan and dread it.
Yeah, and dread it, yeah.
I'm like...
Yeah. I didn't know that critical drinker and quartering surfed on 4chan and dread it so often, that regularly. But, hey-ho.
If you were going to parody them, you could easily parody those guys.
Yeah.
They're very distinctive.
I'm sorry.
The final thing, just to get out, is like the main message. Charity brought it up. The killer's motives are never to be taken at face value. The killer always has satirical motives. It's never straight-faced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, can I just talk about when he references Dewey being Luke Skywalker? I'm like, well, no, because Dewey starts the movie out being, like, obviously he's quite downtrodden and, quite miserable, but he redeems himself completely in the movie. He dies a hero in this film.
Yes.
He saves everyone.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Well,
Luke was supposed to die a hero.
Hang on. But I think, right, yeah, but talk about the redemption. I mean, he turns. Yeah, he's a grumpy sod at the beginning, in like the first scene. But in the first scene with him, but the next time you see him, he's like, yeah, I want to help you, and he's essentially back to his normal self. He quickly realizes. I was watching the closer look, and they talk about want versus need, and obviously Dewey's want at that time, in that moment when he first meets Sam and Richie, is he wants to be left alone. He wants to sit in his trailer and essentially like fade away into obscurity. But then he realizes like quickly that he needs companionship and he needs to be part of something. And so he's like, he's looking at Gail on the TV. He gives Sydney a call and makes sure she's all right, and texts Gail, and then he's off and he's helping out. And Dewey dies a hero, and this is where I have a massive issue with this film.
Well, can I pause on that? Just
we'll come to that when we. Yeah, I'm sure we'll come to that when we're ready. But
it's just the interpretation from Sean here. Actually,
is completely off.
He saw it. He's not wrong. I can see he's the older straight white male, so he has to die so the Netflix cast can take over. I can see why he says that, but the trouble is, this is 5 films in.
Yeah.
You're dealing with an inherited cast.
Yeah.
And I don't see it at all as like trash the older character.
No.
And this is a horror franchise. The guy has to stand up basically. And the guy always gets offed. So that gets offed. I should be more careful with my elocution. So that the final girl can win. This was Dewey, like you say, going out a hero, taking responsibility, cleaning his room.
Damn it, Bucko. But not only that as well, right? But realistically, right? It's 25 years removed from the first film. And, he's been stabbed in the back. He's had this nerve damage. They explain. So, again, if you haven't seen this, spoilers. But when you first meet Dewey, as Horrorshow said at the beginning of the spoilers, he's separated from Gail. Again, we'll go into the reasons for that. I'm sure in a bit, which I have a problem with. But so nutshell, he's split from Gail, and he's back in Woodsboro, but he's living in a trailer now. He's no longer working as sheriff of the Woodsboro police. Essentially, he's medically incapable of continuing to work because of the injuries that he sustained over the years. It's just all caught up with him. So essentially, the dude's lost everything. He lost his sister in the first film. He's lost the love of his life. He's lost the career that he always wanted. Yeah. And he's just he's turned to drink, and he's just let himself go a bit. And yeah, I can buy that from a character who who had everything at one point and has lost it all. And I get the comparisons with Luke Skywalker.
The man's also got nerve damage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was medically incapable of continuing because after 25 years of being slashed, slashed, stabbed, and gashed, he's taken his licks, and he's not able to, he's not the spring chicken that he once was. I think it's completely realistic that he's a bit down on his luck when you see him in this film. I can completely buy that, and what differentiates between him and Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is that the moment that people need his help, okay, yeah, he's a bit reluctant at first, but it's almost like he snaps out of it and he's like, no, this is my duty. Yeah. This is what I do, and he continues to do that. And the way he goes out is, at the time, fitting. But then as the film goes on, I get very.
Oh, we will get into it. I'd like to throw out that I really like the Gale and Dewey stuff in this.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah. I Charity. I don't know if you had this. I got emotional in this film.
I cried the first time I watched this film.
I was nearly there.
The fact that and it's also the fact that he's just been. I mean, the way that he dies, first of all, is so brutal and just doesn't the kill just doesn't give a single whatever. I'm not gonna swear, but it's the fact that you see his dead body, but then the camera pans to the phone and it's Gale on the phone, and then you see her reaction after. It's just really sad. And
also, in the trailers where you hear "It's an honor," it's actually in the death scene of Dewey. Yeah, as he's being gutted from the back and front. He sort of says to him, it truly is an honor.
It's because so when he fights the basically, and that's in the hospital scene, which was really intense, by the way. Like before they get there, when you see Tara, I was on the edge of my seat watching that because I thought, are they actually going to kill her here? And then it was actually quite cool. But anyway,
I called that.
You did.
It was really cool, and basically Dewey comes in, saves her with Sam, and then they get into the elevator and he goes back because he wants to shoot them in the head to make sure that they're dead. And that's when the killer attacks and kills him.
Did anyone think that was a little nod to Scream 2? And also Scream 3, when he's like, I have to go back.
Yeah.
I have to go back. And obviously, got to shoot him in the head, of course. Dewey, head. In Scream 3.
They did the thing they do every Scream film where they go really stupid to have a kill. Where it reminded me of Scream 2 when they're in the car and the killer's completely knocked out. And they're like, oh, we need to get away and not unmask them. And we can't kill them. Until Dewey then thinks, oh, just shoot him in the head. Why are you going anyway? And also, in that whole scene, there's established that there's a dead cop, and no one ever cares. I
feel like in terms of the location, I don't really think they learned their lesson from the fourth film. I mean, at least in Scream 4, they had the decency to acknowledge that it was a bit silly that it was happening in there. There's no acknowledgement of that in this. I mean, it's a completely empty hospital. Power's gone out. I'm sure if they've lost a few extra patients on life support now. And it's just, there's no security, nothing along those lines. And it's I mean, get it in terms of the scenery and the imagery, it's dramatic and it's it's quite an intriguing setting to take place because of sort of the isolation aspect of it. But also it's a hospital, and there are always people around in the hospitals. There's staff everywhere, and like Haryan said, all you get is one dead cop with a slit throat.
They all step over it. He's still in the scene, and no one's like, oh my god, who's that? He's dead.
No one's like,
we got to get out of here from this knocked out killer. It's like, what?
Okay.
One thing that I really thought was effective in that scene was when Dewey's fighting them the first time, and he goes, "Not today," and then he actually shoots him, and you think that he's won the fight, and then when he goes back and gets killed, the killer like says to him, "Yes, today, it's an honor," and that was really, that got me quite badly.
Yeah, I mean, I felt it had been telegraphed, but it still worked for me. I don't want to sound like I'm just shilling here, so I'm going to pick a couple of gripes. One of the weird little gripes I had, two of the weird little gripes I had is I think there were 2 copies of the same painting of a Persian cat in Dewey's trailer. I will rewatch. I will try and work out if it's 2 copies of the same or just the same painting from different angles. The other one was that. Oh, sorry. The other issue I had was he texts Gale, and there's no message history.
Yeah,
that bugs me.
I mean,
they did divorce.
Yeah.
What, he's never sent her any messages? Come on.
I don't know if this can be confirmed, but the Persian cat paintings might just be his own paintings that he's done. Because again, I don't know if people know, but David Arquette is actually a trained Bob Ross painter. And apparently, in between shoots, he was teaching the new cast members how to like paint like Bob Ross.
Amazing.
Why did Courtney Cox divorce this man? I'll never know, but there you go.
She's a slag.
Slag.
I have no idea. Yeah, on the subject of Gale and Dewey, why I'd say he was Luke Skywalker or more Han Solo'd. They split up for the stupidest reason imaginable. She even says, like, why didn't you tell me you didn't like New York? And I'm like, yeah, why didn't you tell me you didn't like New York? What the why would you just leave in the middle of the night because you hate New York? What the? Like, so, I get it.
Do you know what? Do you know what's done right? The thing about that, right? I can understand if he didn't like it and they agreed to divorce and he came back and realised, massive mistake, but they can't be together. But what you have to bear in mind is there was 10 years between this film or 11 years really between this film and Scream 4, and they decided to condense the breakup into a period of 2 months.
Yeah,
and he basically left in the middle of the night, and I'm like, that Dewey would do that.
Yeah,
Dewey wouldn't do that. Why after just 2 months? Like, you've got 11 years to play with, mate. I mean, Jesus wept. You've got 11 years to play with, and you decide to go, oh, yeah, actually, well, in the script we'll say that he decided one night that he couldn't handle it in New York, so he left in the middle of the night. Shut up.
How did that get through the writing room?
Yeah, that was very weird.
That was a bit rushed.
It's just like, you could just, like, they could easily just say that, yeah, he... I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but all I'm saying is, like, they had 11 years to play with. They could have... Because you only know that this happened through dialogue, so just make something more convincing.
Yeah. I would go for that. I'm absolutely fine with them having split up. I think, obviously, it's a full reversal of Scream 2. And the idea that Dewey's a bit broken by it, whereas Gale just is in the busy life. I liked that. But yes, the actual description of it needs a polish. Definitely. I'll give you that completely.
Yeah, that just annoyed me a little bit. And as I say, in terms of his death scene, like Charity said, emotional. I didn't cry because I'm stoic and all that shit. Shikababs. But it did get me in the feels. I was like, no. And then I'm sure as we get to it when we do the killer reveal, I'll explain why I feel like his death was completely undermined.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much like him dying did affect me, but it was I thought that David Arquette and Courtney Cox absolutely sold the material they had.
Definitely.
The idea that he just watches her and that's what Charity, was it that got you as well?
It was the death, and it was Courtney Cox is like acting when she finds out, like when Gale finds out. It's really sad, especially and then when you see her, everyone. Like, I think it's also what makes it work is the fact that she drops to the floor and you see everyone huddling her.
And it's incredible with the amount of Botox she has in her face as well that she's able to pull those facial expressions.
I am hesitant to comment, but I will not comment.
I'm just saying.
No.
It's noticeable.
All that I'll say on that
Alright.
is that Sydney's aged lovely.
Let's focus on the positive. Yes, I mean, I think all the legacy cast put in great performances.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
it was a reunion that really worked for me. That really, really got me in the feels. I was quite heartbroken by Dewey's description of it, but I'll leave it there.
I just want to add that in this film, Courtney Cox does look like Jack Nicholson's Joker without the face paint on.
Jeez, tell me how you really feel.
We've responded to Actual Justice Warrior, and you're so polite then, and now it was bottled up, and now you're just on a rampage.
It just annoyed. It just irked me. That's all. But...
Okay.
It's just Botox, dude.
All right. Now you had another TCG. You had another gripe about this scene, and like we are going to discuss the killer reveal, obviously, but we're in the spoiler section. You might as well say it now so we don't forget.
Sorry. Okay. Yep. So
Go for it.
The battle between, or the fight between Dewey and Ghostface in this scene looks pretty even matched. You know, Ghostface seems about his height, seems about his body structure, and you're thinking of the two killers. It's going to be the male one. Spoiler alert: there's a man and a woman killer. So you think, it's going to be the male killer. Nah. They decide to casually reveal it was the female. So Amber, who was one of the killers, admits to killing Dewey because she's essentially goading Gail and Sydney, like mocking the way that he died. You know, he squealed like a pig and all this stuff, and you know, and at first I was a bit like, oh, she killed him, and then I thought, she killed him, and I was like, no,
Woke trash.
Yeah, now I'm on AJW's side, and I was like, no, they can't have done Dewey like that, no way. And yeah, she definitely killed him because she mentions it again, and I was like, nah, there's no way that she's about the same height and build as Dewey. I mean, you look at that geezer there, he's at least 6 foot, you know, maybe 180 to 200 pounds. And then I looked up Mickey Madsen's height and weight, 5'2", 110-pound girl. To
be fair, like they've always had problems with that in Scream, though, with the killers being a different height.
No, I get that because that's always been a bit of a trope. Because very rarely do the actual killers wear the Ghostface outfits. It's normally stuntmen and stuff like that. I can get that. For me, it was just suspending my disbelief when I go back to that scene and I see the struggle that those two went up against. I'm like, I can't see Dewey struggling essentially with a person that has the frame of a teenage girl. Basically, I'm just like, I can't buy that. And for me, it just cheapened his death by having him killed off by the scrawny one.
It's never established how she survives 3 bullet shots as well. I
Probably
assume she's got body armor.
Probably.
Yeah, I get that, but that's
you don't get
something they always establish.
And she seemed to, and she seemed to recover quite quickly from that as well. You know, because that would hurt. But yeah,
I never buyed it though, because I suppose he is quite like he's disabled technically now because of the thing, and I also think when someone's a psychopathic killer, they've probably got a lot of adrenaline going through them. So you can do things that are...
Yeah, survival instinct as well gives you a lot of that as well. But again, I don't think, you know, I mean, Dewey wasn't in a position where, you know, he's wheelchair bound. He wasn't like in Tara's position, for example, where, you know, she literally couldn't get around anywhere. He was quite capable, and he was obviously doing a job beforehand. And I'm sort of like contradicting myself from earlier with all the PTSD and all the stuff he's had going on in his life. But despite all that, I still don't think that...
I'm totally with you.
It just for me, it just didn't seem believable. Yeah, it just. Yeah. I like it. It just really threw me off. I mean, I felt like a character like Dewey and Gail, you know, the legacy characters, and I suppose, you know, as these other films, if they go on, if you have any of the other characters surviving those ones, it's going to be exactly the same thing. Once they become established, and you want them to go out in a respectable, like Cotton Weary's death, for example, in Scream 3.
Yeah,
I felt that was I felt for his character that was completely fitting. Randy in Scream 2, okay, yeah, it's probably Mrs. Loomis who does the killing, but it's completely by surprise. He has no chance to react.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like I feel like you've cheapened it just to get some sort of like.
It's a really
message
easy
across,
fix as
but-
well. Just have Richie do it.
Exactly, yeah, just have Richie. Have Amber take him down in the lift and Richie nowhere to be seen. Amber could have been the one who turned up and said, "Oh, Sam told me to call you. Sam called me and told me to come here," and then it's Richie in the suit. Like you say, just that like one little change, I'd have bought that. Or get bloody what's her face from the Mandalorian, Gina Carano. As Amber, you know, make her do it. I'd be happy with that.
Off as a whatever.
No, but well, I don't know. I mean, you know, this is Hollywood. I mean, they can do anything. I mean, they made, you know, they de-aged Billy Loomis for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they definitely they did cheat on this. I mean, it just annoyed me. It's a good moment, but they cheated. Let's be honest. They did. Although,
define good.
It's one of those. Well, I think David Arquette sells it, and it's powerful. But yes, they were cheating, and they were cheating in a way that. Do you know the term fridge logic?
No.
Oh, they fridged it.
Right. Yeah. No. Fridge logic is when you watch something and you're like, okay, whatever, good film, and then later that evening you're getting some beer from the fridge, and you go,
that's what.
Hang on, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. Yeah, that's what happened to me. Minus the fridge, it was more of like the dry. It was more like as soon as she mentioned it. Actually, it was as I was walking out of the cinema. I was like, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. No, they didn't do that.
Like when Leia says that she's always known that she and Luke were siblings, and then you're just like, oh yeah, hang on.
Oh, neat.
It's definitely it's definitely quite a big flaw, but it's like I'm that like biased towards these films that like in my head I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Embrace the bias.
Yeah, no.
Like don't get me wrong, I'm hugely biased towards these films as well, and I think, you know, if it was another character, I could have easily let it slide, but it's just. You've got one of these legacy characters. You need to treat them with the respect that they deserve, and the same for Gail and Sydney. I wouldn't want I wouldn't want them like killed by like some 6 foot 300 pound Ghostface, only to find out it's a 15-year-old with anorexia.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like you cheapen it. Give them the send off they deserve. In that scene, you did it bloody good. But you made Amber kill him, and no, don't do that.
It hits different later. Bilbo, exactly right, like a shower thought. Exactly.
What
right.
saved it for me, I think, was the way that Amber gets taken out by Gail and Sydney. That was so satisfying. I was sat there like, go on, get her.
That in itself was a throwback to another film that she was in.
Yeah.
Because she what was it called?
Go ahead, sorry. Once
I don't know.
Time in Hollywood.
That's it. Yeah, because she gets set aflame on that in that film as well and dies.
It was something I realised. I also want to point out there was a subtle clue to the other killer in the hospital scene. It's in that beautiful bit where it's like it's genuinely quite tense and Tara can hear the killer coming. She she grabs a phone and she hits Richie with it when he comes in. It's like, Richie got hit with the phone.
Yeah.
Like, Stu. Oh my gosh. Subtle clue. Stu's coming back.
Yeah.
Confirmed. Yeah, so that was kind of nice.
But Casey also smacked Ghostface as well in the first one with through the phone.
Yeah. I noticed after this bit, actually, the film seemed to like rocket forward. Did you notice that? Like the pacing wise, it just shot forward, and I kind of delighted in it. Like the very sneaky way that they went for the. I mean, I absolutely loved it. This is kind of Scream doing what it does best: point out the trope that people should just get the heck out of there when they realise they're in a horror film. Just leave. Just go.
Yeah. I've said it's like the laws of physics, though. We understand the laws of physics, but there's nothing we can do to get around them. And I feel like this is what the Scream franchise is, and this is another thing that Sean, Actual Justice Warrior, criticised. He was saying, they understand the rules of these films, and yet they keep falling into the same tropes. It's like, yes, because that's the point, because they understand that they understand the horror rules, and yet they're in a horror universe. So naturally, they are going to fall into those tropes because that's exactly what they're designed to do. They just happen to be a bit aware of it.
Yes. Like there are levels to this. There's obviously, it's like, look, we're in a horror film, so we have to scare you, and people have to die. The killer can't just get one person and retire. The film does not work like that. No. So there are certain things you are locked into. It
just made me think, did he have the same criticisms when Sydney was like in the first Scream, I'm not just some blonde bimbo who runs upstairs at the first sign of trouble or whatever it was, and then the first sign of trouble comes along, she pegs it up the stairs. It's like,
wasn't there a reason for that?
No, I'm not accepting it.
The door's
I'm not
locked.
accepting
it. The door was locked. Yeah.
Don't accept it. Yeah, she just unlocked the door. I don't accept it. Or she can peg it out the back and roll down the hill. I don't buy it.
Do you know how close that killer was? Jeez.
Yeah, she tries to. She doesn't have time.
But she's got but she had final girl protection on her. There would have been some Deus Ex Machina moment that would have saved her, or plot. Plot.
That sounds like a much worse film.
Yeah, but she she definitely had plot armor. So stick true to love. But then again, she's in that universe. She's going to fall into those same tropes. That for me, that's if they're going to be self-aware about it and not have themselves fall into the tropes, so you can be like, see, they said that was going to happen. Then what's the point?
There are tropes you can point out and dodge, and there are tropes that you can point out but be like, look, we've got to go with them. So you can, I don't know. You can point out people die after they have sex. Okay, good, fine. You can point that out, that's fine, and then not do it. Brilliant.
Yeah, they did that in the first one.
Exactly. Subvert expectations, Rian Johnson. In this one, it was back to sort of Scream 1 levels of cleverness, pointing out they want to get the hell out of there, so they try and do it. But why could they not do it? It was being highlighted, basically the universe will not let you leave. But then they had a clever reason for it, which is that the killers had rigged it and were in the position to rig it so they could not leave. That was clever writing. That was back to Scream levels of cleverness, where they get around the thing that the killer basically teleports by saying, well, no, actually there were two killers. Yeah. Sorry, I went on for ages there, folks. Sorry about that.
No, not at all.
I left all the free real estate there, didn't I? So that worked for me. And again, the scene where they are trying to leave and drive out of town was one of the funniest. I was enjoying that so much.
Yeah.
I need my inhaler. Yeah.
It was actually quite. I loved it particularly because I have a sibling and who's got asthma, and that we've had that thing ever since when we were little. We had that thing all the time where it's like, oh, I've left my inhaler, I need to go and get it. So that for me was extra oh.
Yeah.
My nan was like that, but she had about 4 different inhalers for her 75 different ailments. God rest her soul.
Yeah, so that worked really well, and it was also well, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but the way it transitioned to, oh, by the way, we're now at the party at the end, I thought was just...
I thought it was quite well done.
I liked
that. It was really well done.
I thought it was right. Yeah, I thought
cheeky. Very cheeky,
Yeah. We're going to do something. Can I just talk about Sid as well? Because obviously before that... Again, I get why Gail was there, because obviously the company that she worked for wanted her to go to Woodsboro. Again, think of the ratings, like Scream 1, a bit of a nod there, because obviously Gail has connections. It makes sense. It makes sense for her to go back there. Sydney, on the other hand, why?
Oh well, wow, I'm the opposite. I think it makes more
I
sense
actually,
for Sydney.
yeah, I liked Sydney coming back. I think, you know, because she says in the beginning that there's no way I'm going back to that town. So the
Yeah.
killer's like, I need to make something drastic happen. I think killing Dewey is because I remember when the film was first being announced, a lot of the channels that discussed all the theories and stuff, one big thing was like something big has to happen to get Sydney to come back, and I think Dewey dying was one of them. And I also do think that she's got kids. I believe that, you know what I mean?
So if she's got kids, why the hell is she throwing herself into the danger zone? And more to the point, why is her husband being a little bitch and not going with her, or you know, given the fact that if it's Mark Kincaid, which is pretty much confirmed it was, the guy is old Bill. Why isn't he going down there and flexing his authority? And then, like, and I get it, you know, they lost their best friend and her husband and whatnot, but to be like, oh, we just want you to, we want to kill him now. We want to kill the killer. Come on, you're going to help us on this crusade, lame.
Cops in this
And
movie.
why the hell? Sorry, I've got to keep going.
Go on.
Why the hell does Sidney Prescott have flipping tracking devices? Since when did she become an MI5 agent? Oh, no,
She's
they're driving.
learned.
Oh, it's all right. I've got tracking devices. You know, I just carry them around with me casually. Shut! No.
She probably went and got them specifically for this.
What?
movie.
From down the Winn-Dixie, down the road? I'm not buying it.
That was pretty dumb, actually. Now that you mention it, yeah.
It was funny. I like the little line. It sounded like a Gail Weathers thing to do. Like I liked. I
Yeah.
that.
Again, I can imagine, because again, there was a lot of like role reversals and, you know, sort of like character sort of trait flipping and stuff. So I to be fair, I can appreciate that. I was just a bit like, but why? Why is she doing this? Why isn't Mark down there with her? Why is she putting her kids at risk by leaving her? Because again, it could be the killer's plan: get Sydney out of there and murder the kids. I don't know, like, but her priorities would have changed in those 10 years or 11 years. You know, I get it.
I think it's hard. I can definitely see why.
I'm just saying, if, you know, 25 years ago, if I was in their situation and obviously I had this traumatic thing happen, given my circumstances now where I've got 3 kids, if this stuff started kicking off again in my old hometown, I'd be like, well, I ain't going back there. I've got kids. My place is here. If they can't, you know, I'm protecting them first. I'm not going to put myself out there and risk it. I mean, I get it. She has to be in, and they need something big and doing that. Yeah, I get it. But I'm just like, nah. For me, her priorities as a mother would have been different than just let me come back and resume the role of final girl. This is what I don't think she should come back in. If they do a sequel, that's it for me. I don't think she should come back.
Well, I think they had to get her back. The script writers needed to do something to get her to come. But I do agree. This is it. Now her story is she's riding off into the sunset. She's done. And as much as I absolutely love Sydney, I love the character, the original. I would so much prefer them now to just, this is the final film, and they can go and be happy, and we can. Because the franchise, if you want the franchise to go forward, you have to move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't want to move on by killing them.
No. But they could have done that in the telephone call when Dewey phones Sydney and he's like, "It's happening again." You know, she's like, "I ain't going back there. This is it. You know, I'm done." She can establish that, because when she was in Woodsboro, I felt like she was just there for the sake of it. They just sort of popped her into scenes and didn't really know what to do with her. You know. I
don't know. I can imagine she wants revenge for Dewey.
No, I get that, and again, I get that. But again, priorities. She's got kids.
It's also supposed to be like a passing of the torch of I survived this, and I'm passing it to you. You're going to be okay.
Yeah, she could have been an advisor role in a distance. You know, I'm not saying. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, it's good that she went back, and I understand for the purposes of the film that she needed to go back. I'm just saying, I think if they hadn't made her a mother, I think I wouldn't have had so much of a problem. But the fact that they made her a mother of 2 kids, and there was presumably a more than capable geezer who can go down there and get himself killed for the sake of it, I think she's putting herself at unnecessary risk. And I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, ask the individual with the two young children that they want to see grow up, and ask them if they want to relive those experiences again.
You've got a point. Like, there's a certain amount of this is movie logic.
Yeah, I suppose.
Like, you're not wrong, but it is movie logic. Like, I had some fanfic that I don't know how you'd feel about. But
if she wasn't a mother and she was with Mark, and there wasn't that connection, that parental connection, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. I do feel like she was a bit she was a bit not underused, but like in Scream 4 where they were trying to do the passing of the torch before, and it just seemed something just didn't seem quite right with Sydney's presence there, and I felt like that was sort of magnified in this film, because don't get me wrong, I think she's amazing as an actress, and she's Sidney Prescott, and but I just don't feel like it was. I just don't think that they could have done a better job.
Yeah, the kids complicate it. I would say the passing of the torch felt a lot better in this, because most of the time it's just I had so much of a problem in Scream 4 with the BT dubs, here are some relatives we never mentioned. There was that issue which they didn't have here.
They did.
But there was...
They kind of did, because I mean they essentially shoehorned Sam Carpenter in.
Yeah,
Wes
not
was,
in the case of Sydney.
Wes was non-existent in the fourth film as well.
True.
Yes. He appeared like Laurie Strode's daughter.
In Halloween 4, yeah.
No, I'm talking H2O. Obviously Josh Hartnett transitioned into a daughter in Halloween 2018.
They done Josh dirty.
They definitely did.
But
I'll talk a bit about Sydney and Gale in this, because like I've seen a lot of people talking about it. I really loved them in this film. I think they did a really good job. I think I liked what they were given as well, because I think a lot of the Scream fans were like upset that Sydney and Gale they didn't get hardly any screen time. But I'm like, I think the stuff that they had was really cool, especially in the third act.
It was a developed relationship. I think all the legacy actors brought their A game. I really like what Neve Campbell does, but I thought Courtney Cox was on good form here too.
Yeah, I mean, again, this wasn't me saying all this stuff about Sydney. It's not a criticism of the acting performance. It's more of the story and the writing. It's a writing issue. Yeah. It's always, for me, it's always a writing issue. I don't think I could have, when it comes to the performances, I think they all did the best that they could, and I think in especially with a few of them, they absolutely shone. Again, Dewey for me was my favourite interpretation. It's just a shame he had to die in the end, but this was easily my favourite one.
I had a little fanfic idea.
Oh yeah.
You might not like this, but my idea was that I wanted Sydney to stay out of it.
Yes.
I like the idea that she stays out, and I know the trailer showed this didn't happen, but she stays out of it. Dewey and Gale go in, they get offed, and that's the impetus for her to come back. Or in the next one, she comes back in the next one because she's basically called in by someone who says, I've got no idea what else to do. You're the only person who survived this.
I can buy that. But and she comes back because she regrets not coming back last time. She feels the guilt of Gale and Dewey's death.
Precisely,
yeah, I can buy that. I can buy that.
But at the same time, I did get the lovely feeling that they'd finished it off for these characters and finished it with love and lots of respect. We should probably talk about the other legacy character.
Judy.
Gotcha.
And can we just say, these absolute bar stewards. That was, how savage was that?
Honestly, like, I was watching that and I was like, because I like Judy and I like the little clever bits of writing they have for her, especially when like the killer's calling her and she goes, like, I think he says, "What's your favourite scary movie?" And he says, "Have you ever seen the film Psycho?"
Have you ever seen Psycho?
Yeah, and she goes, "No, I much prefer musicals and animated movies." I just thought her character's really lovely, and then to see her get off like that affected me almost as much as the Dewey death did, and just because of how brutal it was.
Yeah. Well, again, she was one of the few characters from the fourth one who, for me, was like a positive impact.
Yeah.
even despite the fact that she was a dirty hussy with those filthy
Flaunting her
lemon
lemon
squares.
squares.
The lemon square. That is not trad.
But yeah, I mean, she was one of the few characters that I liked from the fourth film moving into the fifth one. And again, it was the same. Yeah, it was brutal, wasn't it? There's nothing much I can say. It was absolutely brutal.
I don't know if you noticed, but so she references Psycho, and we get I don't know if anyone else on the stream will appreciate that scene as much as I did with the shower. Let's move on. But
No, go.
There was a nice little bit of abs on show. Anyway, they reference Psycho. What?
There was.
Oh right, okay.
They reference Psycho, but right at the start, I noticed that the new music guy, Brian Tyler, so he's still using Marco Beltrami's basic Scream score, but he mixed in some of the Bernard Herrmann Psycho right in the first scene. You're gonna notice it next time. Next time you watch it, you will notice.
Which scene? In the shower scene or the beginning?
Oh, the very first scene with Jenny Ortega.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When she's getting stabbed, they did the Scream music, but they built the Psycho shower scene music in as well.
Oh, I think I did hear because when it was like, have you seen the movie Psycho? And then and it pans into
Well done, Bill.
that particular bit.
Legend.
Yeah, I do use lemon squares.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I do remember that actually. Yeah, because I was a bit like, oh,
very nice touch, very nicely done. But yeah, this scene was brutal. Obviously, Judy's done super dirty, and then the scene with Wes afterwards was just absolute borderline comical, brutal baiting of the audience. You know, setting up shot after shot where you're just waiting for the reveal. That was torture. Absolute torture. I mean, did you find that?
Who else thought that Wes's death had a little bit of sexual tension in it?
Ooh.
What?
Looking in the eyes as he's being penetrated.
Let's not do gay readings. I can't be bothered.
Because I think it was this lovely lady in the background who offed him.
Ooh.
Yeah. No, she too tall.
No, it don't matter. She's obviously wearing stilts when murdering Dewey. I mean, why not? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was her who murdered Judy as well. I think that Amber's knife stabs are very distinct.
Out of control.
You can definitely tell. Yeah, and it's her.
Can we get some love for Wes? Yeah, you don't get much of him, but I love that he's just a competent guy who's like, yes, I'm going to arm up. I'm going to get a taser and pepper spray. Yeah. He's an absolute Chad.
That's it. I was going to say, I've just thought, it's really weird. I've just realised, you only ever see one pairing of every character, or none. You never see a couple.
Sorry,
do you get what I mean? You never get a pair of parents. You never get a pair of parents. There's only ever one parent.
That's true, actually.
For example, Randy's niece and nephew. You only ever see the mother, who's Randy's sister. Judy Hicks, you never see who she's married to. Sydney, you only see Sydney. You don't see Mark.
The Beckers.
It's literally they're all single parents.
Oh, you see the Beckers.
except for the Beckers.
That's the only one.
You see the Beckers?
Yeah.
Which ones are the Beckers?
Right at the start.
Right at the very start of the thing that kicked this all off. Go to the Mackenzies. Scream.
You have got a good point there, Harry, and we do not see a great number of intact families.
So what we're saying then is an unintended, perhaps intended, critique is single family households create killers.
Well, no, because most of them they're all single family households.
So everybody in Woodsboro is potentially a killer.
Yeah, but 100% of them are not as well.
It doesn't work necessarily with Judy, because I think Judy's a really good mum.
Yeah.
Like, she can tell she's a bit of a helicopter parent, but she's like, she cares about him.
She was low-key quite shady trying to snare Dewey You know,
The hussy.
She really was. That was quite, you know. But maybe because her son's, she's changed a bit, you know.
I'm just wondering where the hell that is.
I think it's just one of those things in how can I say, it's like screenwriter blinkers that they get. Like screenwriters tend to write in a way on autopilot for some things. Like they do Netflix casting on autopilot. They give everyone massive houses on autopilot because they know they want lots of shooting opportunities. They tend not to write anyone poor because you kind of have to give people jobs where they're able to just drop them at a moment's notice and not have other complications going on in their lives. Screenwriters tend to just write this stuff in to make it a bit easier.
Yeah, it's very movie logic, isn't it?
And yeah, in that case, it's you don't. The horror movie classic is you don't want the parents around.
I was going to say
they're usually just away.
True.
I was going to say either that or the screenwriters all come from single family households and they're just writing based on lived experience.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there's a certain reason why so many, so many characters are. Oh, this is going to come out so the wrong way. But white middle class liberals who want the cleverest character to win the day. You know? It's a reason that so many movies have, say, underappreciated intellectual characters. You know, I don't know why screenwriters keep putting that guy in, but he's in all the time.
Yeah. I mean, back to Judy's death. Why does it take so goddamn long for the police to get to the sheriff's house when she's screaming on the radio to get to her house? It takes them like 20 minutes. And then you get that massive, and this informs like the massive scene with Wes, which I just find surprising because on the opening, like the police like outside the door for the first killer, and that's why he can't finish stabbing Tara.
No, I think he deliberately left Tara alive because they wanted to draw Sam out.
True, yeah.
But I don't know how, because I think I don't know if I can't remember if there was a line where Amber says, or one of them says, I had to get you to come back somehow.
I think I think they do, yeah.
That makes sense.
But I think if she died, but to be fair, I think if she died in that opening scene, I think Sam would still come back.
Possibly, yeah.
I think
do you know what I mean? I think
if she's injured, she's got to come back for longer and look after her.
Yeah.
And another thing with Judy's death, she gets stabbed like 20 times, like on her front lawn on a relatively busy street.
Yeah.
Like, how does no one notice that?
it's hospital scene logic, isn't it?
It's a major gripe I have with this film is that Ghostface is killing out in the open in public far too often. I
mean the one with the guy, urinating in the street and going to his car and then getting stabbed in the throat and that's it, he's off. That one I can kind of see. Like that one I'm fine with because it's like dead of night. But this one in the middle of the day on a front porch on a street that's clearly quite busy.
And in a hospital waiting room in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
There's a few of that where it was just a bit too relaxed about daytime killing.
Exactly. Yeah. But Judy's is probably the worst out of all of them. Simply because of that. You can wait till she's gone in and then kind of rush in, tackle her and stab her or something. I don't know.
I think maybe, it's something that you don't think about, do you, until you get out.
No.
But I think in the moment it really does work quite well because it adds to the brutality of it. Of like, this guy's killing people in broad daylight.
It's very good brutal pacing, and then you've got the thing with Wes is I kept expecting him to discover the body. I think I was saying that to you, Charity, in the messages. I figured he'd find the body and we'd have a horrible reaction.
But no, he just gets stabbed.
That was so hard to watch.
But the viewer, I think it's even worse for the viewer, knowing that neither Wes nor Judy knew whether their mum/son was alive or not. They didn't know that each, obviously Judy didn't know that Wes would end up getting killed, and Wes never knew his mum had been murdered.
Did anyone else
that's quite harsh.
think that he was going to manage to get the taser and survive? Because watching that was
Nah,
Did you
I
not
felt
think?
like, nah,
I kind of thought, oh, maybe he's got a chance.
nah.
That'd be too nice.
He was only 40 minutes into the movie. No way. So I think it might be time to get on to the finale before we do some of the stuff about basically the success of the theme. So shall we get on to the finale bit? Because I know I want to end on positive stuff, and I know TCG has a lot to say about the finale. So shall we go there?
Let's.
All
I mean,
right,
to be fair, I think I've softened up a little bit since my initial reaction, but yeah, I think it was mostly to do with Dewey, I think, and the fact that I was wrong.
I want to buy this film a drink for the frankly balls out, pressed against a windscreen genius of just being like, oh yeah, get your inhaler from the party. Just like, just deliver us straight to the party for the finale. I loved it.
Just a little bit about that, actually. When they were... I swear there was a day and night transition that, for me, felt like it shouldn't have happened. I'm trying to think back. When they're talking about going back to Stu's... to the house to pick up the inhaler...
Yeah.
I swear it's like daytime. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're only an hour or so away. And then when they actually get there, it's like pitch black at night.
It
and I'm just
could have
thinking,
just been timing, but they ate up several hours of daytime in the sort of fallout from Dewey's death.
Yeah, but I don't think it was that late in the
can't
day,
remember.
though.
I can't remember.
Struggling now.
It was nighttime when they were at the hospital. It was nighttime at the hospital.
No, but it was daytime when it was daytime when Sam met Sydney.
No, that was nighttime.
No, that was night. Yeah,
that was
it?
nighttime. Yeah, that was nighttime. Yeah,
I think so.
Oh no, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, yeah, I might just be remembering that wrong then.
Yeah, that's
We did
it. Well, I
have
mean,
something-
I can't have a screen.
I swear there was something during that film where there was a day and night transition. I was like, nah, that it feels like too much time has passed.
There was something
for
we
it.
watched recently that had a really bad forced day to night transition. What was that?
Unless it was Scream 4.
Is it ready or not? No. I can't remember.
It's something where they did just go straight to night between scenes. I'll never remember. It's going to bug me. But
I'm derailing the conversation. Sorry.
okay, so
Thanks, TCG.
You're welcome.
we get to the finale. They're having a party. Because of course they're having a party. It's their excuse because poor Wes has been stabbed, died, awful. They're going for a tribute party, which means they have the massive banners for Wes hanging up. I absolutely love that.
That seems to be a bit of a thing again in Dexter. In Dexter New Blood, there's Harrison, quote unquote, stops a school shooting from happening, and they end up getting the kill list, and all the people that were on this kill list basically set up their own party, and then Harrison turns up like, yay, yeah, you saved us, look, and it was like, what? yeah, it kind of reminded me of that in a way. I don't know why, but it was just, it's kind of like that a bunch of teenagers celebrating the fact that, celebrating something over, something death related, just gave me just gave me echoes of that.
Yeah, I mean they're doing it as a tribute, but people were. It wasn't exactly a somber wake, but it did give them the chance to make it very clear with the for Wes sign that this is a tribute to Wes Craven. Like the meta was very thin there, and I kind of like it. But
I looked at that and I thought, oh, that's lovely. I turned to him and was like, oh, that's nice, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah, they snuck you in through the door quite quickly, but if you'd watched the trailers, it's back at Stu's house. And the first bit you get in here, veteran screen watchers catch it instantly where you are.
Yeah.
I still liked it as a moment. And then so many bits from this worked for me. I was just having a great time when they're playing with you and your expectations. Amber and Mindy going down for beer. was an absolute highlight for me. That really worked.
Yeah, that was a good scene. That was.
The conversation between them, yeah, it was quite nice.
Both of them are such sociopaths. Like, I was really like, either you're so suspicious. Like, what the heck?
I think they just need. Yeah, I thought that scene went on too long. I think they needed to say it to each other once, and that's it. But they kind of kept going with it, and I'm like, I knew what you were doing as soon as you came down. So I don't know, or maybe I'm just a bore. I don't know.
No, that's okay. Did you like Chad's smooth talk skills? Chad's guide to safe sex.
I don't really want to shag you because you might be a murderer. I was kind of like, were you getting off with her? why is that such a big leap? You know.
It was safe where he was, you know.
Oh, true. Yeah. And she had an understandable reaction.
It was nice comedic dialogue, and it was done really well. It was very competent, because that scene could have easily been written really naff, but I liked it a lot. And then I like the part where he goes, it's a perfectly logical reaction, and then like when he really pisses her off, Mindy goes, well done.
Yeah, and then you have one of my favourite scenes where you've got the whole phone tracking thing. I thought they did that quite smartly. Because then well, for those of you that haven't seen it, this was probably my favourite kill scene actually, bar the neck stab. But he's obviously annoyed that she's gone off, and he's like, oh, better go apologise to the wham. So he tries to text her, and she sends back kind of a location pin, and it's kind of a live one for the film. So he's like, oh, cool. He does that, and then it kind of does this beep thing, which I've never known them to do, but it's for the effects of the film. And he's going around, it's like beeping more and more as he's getting closer. And the whole time, everyone basically knows that he's going to get stabbed. But it's really tense. Because he's out in pitch black, and why the hell would she be out in the pitch black like that? But he doesn't care. And eventually, yeah, he does get stabbed, and then he's like, oh god, like pushes Ghostface to the ground. I can't remember the details, but he runs off and gets the shed thing, but his thing's still beeping, and he's still got the live location. So he's trying to unlock his phone with his bloody hand, which he can't do because
I love that.
Yeah, I really like that. And then he's like, can't turn it off, so he's like, oh god, so he just throws the phone away, which I thought was pretty smart. And then he's like, oh, is the coast clear? Is the coast clear? Does a little check, and then kind of starts limping away because he's been stabbed. And then like the way the camera's done, it's following him like face on, and you can see the shed in the back, and then both doors just burst open with Ghostface running right at him for the stab. And I was like, oh, that works really well.
Yes.
I really like that.
And that was another one of those really savage stabbings, just absolutely brutal. And
yeah, I can't finish the job because what's he called? Car comes round. Richie's car comes round, and it's like, oh, I might get seen. Better room. So I thought that was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richie clearing the party out was also a bit fabulous. I really liked that.
All right, I try to be nice about it. Get the.
Was his line like, yes, hello, Gen Z, nice to meet you?
Oh, yeah, he said like I'm Gen X, like Gen X, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
that
is,
was,
he's not that old, but yeah, it was quite funny.
It was very nicely judged as a sort of, hi, I'm a 90s franchise, you're Zoomers, okay, hi. Again, lovely meta stuff going on.
I really like Jack Quaid's performance in this film. Actually, I felt very. Do you know what? I did feel very betrayed. Well. They did. They did use him really well. Definitely.
Yeah, he did act like he acts as Huey in The Boys, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he might get typecast as that, but I'm fine with that. He does those parts really well. So, shut up, phone.
Quite Tash.
I'm trying to think what happens after that now.
Well, we get into this little circle where basically everyone's cleared out, and there's alarm, and then they're all standing in the front room. They're all sort of shrieking at each other, saying, Oh, I think Mindy's been stabbed already at that point in a reenactment of the scene with Randy. And it's kind of
yeah,
difficult because I was thinking, yeah, that's kind of messed up that she's watching her uncle die.
Yeah, that was in my mind the
Which
whole
someone
time.
does comment on, but then I thought, well, Randy would do that, to be honest. Randy obviously watched the stab movies.
Yeah,
no, they. It's a really weird thing that, like, oh, why are you watching a film about our uncle dying? And I'm like, that's Stab 2. Not Stab 1. She doesn't even get hurt in Scream. Stab 1, whatever. So.
No, he gets shot.
He does. He gets shot, yeah.
Oh, does he get? Oh, he does get shot.
Yeah,
he gets shot.
And he says, thank goodness I'm a virgin.
Yeah.
I like that because Mindy, like, the part where he's like, turn around, Jamie, turn around, she actually turns around, and that's what saves her, I think. Yeah. I thought, that's a nice twist on that.
Yeah. I'm not sure we've had enough Mindy love in this stream.
Honestly, she's so good. And I was a bit worried because I thought it's very easy to turn that into a really, because I genuinely thought she was going to be really, really annoying.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, I was like, no, she's cool. Like,
yeah. I'm completely on board with you on that one. I thought initially, I'm not going to like her, but as the film went on, she convinced me. She turned me around.
She was fantastic. Yeah, I really don't know how the actress is in real life, but she was pretty great in this. Yeah, but they all end up in the same room, and then it's a kind of sudden killer reveal, and it's done with absolute aplomb as Lizzie. Sorry, I keep calling her Lizzie. Liv has been set up to be sort of a source of danger, and then we get the sudden reveal. No, Amber pops a one in the head, down she goes, and then says, "Welcome to Act 3."
Yeah, it's a finger snap subversion of Scream 4, where it's like, why have you got blood on your hand? And she says, oh, it's the guy outside who was stabbed by someone else. And it, like in Scream 4, obviously, you have kind of a 5-minute thing of, oh, is it the killer or not? And then he's tied up. Whereas in this one, it's just headshot. It's literally,
so
she says that line. She's like, yeah, I know, I killed him. I'm like, Jesus.
I feel we should probably also note that Contra Actual Justice Warrior, Liv dying is a POC dying.
It's a minority, yes.
So, yes.
Debunked.
Oh, I could make a really edgy Afghani joke, but I won't.
Good. Moving on.
Demonetized.
Okay. It's quite good for just, again, knowing the thing and just be like, yeah, welcome to Act 3, bam. There is a sort of cheeky reset because you switch perspectives on that point. And it's almost like, it's like everything in the house resets because we go back to then Sydney and Gail arriving. We have one heck of a moment, you know.
I loved that. I think for me, like the thing that really, because I'd really enjoyed the film during the rest of the earlier parts of it. But for me, what really made the film was the third act. It was so well done, and then like just the chills I got when she revealed herself as the killer, and then I really loved. It was funny, like when Sydney and Gail come and basically, I don't know if you want to explain what happens or what, but that scene in particular when Sydney and Gail are outside, I also love the way that's been done because that's not been done that much really in Scream, and I think it was just great the way they turn to each other. There's a trap. Yeah, that's a trap, and then she gives up trying to persuade them, and then it was just funny.
Oh yeah.
It was so fast-paced.
It was fast-paced, but it was weird. Like I was sat there on one hand terrified, and on the other hand laughing, and I don't know how they managed to do that because it was just so well balanced.
Yeah, it was a really strange tone because it's Amber who comes out saying like, "Oh, he's been stabbed. I've been stabbed," and Sidney just says, "Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, it's probably a trap." And then it's so fast where she just says "F it" and then just instantly shoots Gail.
There has not been enough love for Amber so far. I think she's so good.
I didn't. I kind of like most of the. Basically, the character that didn't leave an impression on me was Liv and Sam. I don't know, I didn't really get an impression from Sam. Sam was just a conduit to bring Billy back, basically.
She had to play things quite straight, I thought.
Yeah.
You know? So there wasn't as much for her to do. I think she's going to get developed if they do more, I think.
Yeah, because at the moment it's literally just Billy Loomis's bastard child. And that's kind of it. Like, literally. That's all I can tell you about a character.
Yeah. This finale where, how can I say? When I rewatch it, and I am absolutely rewatching this probably a couple of times because I really enjoyed it. I might find myself doing a bit of logistics and working out where people would have to be, and probably hitting a bit of spoiler logic. Sorry, fridge logic. For like,
yeah.
Well, why was this person there? How did they get there? In that point, I probably will end up doing that, but.
Well, I'm trying to think. Why was Richie in the cupboard?
Yeah, that would be one of those.
I mean, there might be a reason for it. I just don't remember. I can't remember the detail of the scene.
There's a certain amount of. Doesn't he have to be busy? You know.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff on that, and if I'm going to criticize, there is one rather big problem with the finale, which is that effectively the group gets split up, and then it's like the two fights don't interact with each other at all. Like, this is kind of a nitpick, but you end up with the sort of Gail and Sydney v Amber fight and the Richie v Sam fight, and the one finishes quite early, and then the characters just sort of don't go into the next room until the next fight resolves.
They are both shot, to be fair. Which, I mean, you kind of want to. I'm not being funny, but the gunshot wounds are pretty bad. You do need to do something with them.
I think
I'm a bit
but
of a
I mean,
moment
that should
that should probably be established. However, which it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not at the. I mean, there is a thing I want to point out at the end that I was like, "What the hell?" But I'll get to that. But yeah, because Richie's in a cupboard for some reason. I really like the scene where like Sydney's on her own going in because Gail got shot, and she's like, "Oh, I'll go to a hospital," and she's like, "No," and it's like, "Oh, I'll just leave you in the yard then." Like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, then she just starts shooting through doors in anticipation for Ghostface. Who she then gets a call from, and she doesn't take that call seriously at all, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Go on.
She's completely beyond the point now, where it's like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, completely, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know scary movies. Right, board this conversation. Ghostface is like, no. It's like a soy jack. No, you can't hang up. Chad Sydney. And then shoots through the cupboard, and it hits Richie, and he does make a good point. She's like, "Oh, I told you to come out. Why didn't you?" He's like, "You're shooting through doors. Why would I come out?" And then Ghostface actually comes out from the other cupboard door, the other room door, and then she like throws them both over the banister, and they're both really winded. And I'm like, "Yeah, you wouldn't be getting up from that for a while." And you've got the really tense moment where the gun's on the floor. Richie's going downstairs with a shot leg. Ghostface is trying to crawl towards it. Sydney's trying to crawl towards it. And then I think does Sydney get the gun?
I think Sam gets it, doesn't she?
Sam. Sam gets the gun. She's like, "Oh, I got it," and he's like, "Oh, great, because I wanted to kill you." And then it turns out Richie's Ghostface. Spoilers.
I know Ash got it, but I didn't.
I was pissed.
Yeah,
I was like, "Richie, how could you do this, man? I was loving your character up until now."
Yeah, so some of Tash's reasoning was like really good, and then some of it was really bad. She was like, "Oh, one of the reasons I thought it was him is because he instantly wanted to go with Sam to see his sister with her." And I was like, "I don't know, I'd do that with you."
Yeah. What? To be fair, what got me suspicious of him, but I was hoping it wasn't, was funny enough the hospital scene where he turns up after the when Tara's hiding,
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, Sam called me and told me to come here to check on you." And I'm thinking, hang on, that happened off screen. Did it happen? Probably not. Please don't be him. I'm really liking his character. Damn it!
I mean, oh god, yeah. I mean, we have to talk about his motivations now because I was absolutely losing it in the cinema. I thought it was so funny. Basically,
Let's go for it.
Basically, Richie's motivation is that he doesn't want Stab to be Last Jedi again. He wants return. What was it? Something of Skywalker. I can't remember the 9th bloody film.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. He wanted that to be not terrible. And so he's like, "Oh, Hollywood's run out of ideas. They don't care about the fans." He literally says the line, "How can a fandom be toxic?" And I'm there like, "Well, you are stabbing people." But at the same time, it's kind of like, yeah, the film's got a not a weird commentary. It's definitely, you shouldn't have the takeaway Actual Justice Warrior had, where it's saying, you know, fans need to be less mean about The Last Jedi. This film was being mean about The Last Jedi, just to make it clear.
I mean, they're proving the point, and their point is like, the sequels can kind of lose it. You've got to bring it back to basics and make it work. And I mean, this is going to be my conclusion. They did it. They proved that works. So it's definitely contra Last Jedi, even if it's delivered in a somewhat satirical way.
And so his idea is that he brings in new characters and gets in legacy characters and basically stabs them all, so that Hollywood have a new idea for a Stab film, or well, literally have a new Stab story. And I mean, obviously we're skipping a bit here with this, but he even says, like, when he gets killed, because he's Ghostface and Ghostface always dies, he says, "What about my ending?" And that was a massive thing with like Rian Johnson and all that. It was like, they were basically like, "Oh, the fans are really annoyed because they didn't get their ending, or they didn't get their Luke Skywalker," and it felt like kind of a nudge to that. And what gets me is that people like that don't exist. People like Richie don't exist. It's not that we didn't get our ending. It's not like what's he called? Peter Dinklage said about Game of Thrones. It's not because all the white people didn't ride off on horses into the sunset. It's not the ending. It's the fact that the writers literally spat on what they had all. So it's kind of, Richie doesn't exist in real life is my point there. So
it's even more obvious with Amber.
Yeah.
You notice that she's being awful twice. She falls back on excuses and is just like, "Oh, no, it was I was radicalized." I was radicalized by the Britisher, you know.
I was radicalised by the Britisher. Well, I'm not being funny. If Critical Drinker and the Quartering were mentioned by Actual Justice Warrior, I'm surprised that he didn't throw the Britisher in there as well for the radicalisation.
I've been radicalised into wanting good writing and decent character development. You know, it's so transparent when Amber does it that it's just an excuse. And that you're not meant to take it seriously. So
that was
people
one of the
who
points.
take it.
Sorry, that was one of the points against the Actual Justice Warrior video. It was like, did you not hear like when she goes, "It was the message boards, you know. I was radicalised." And it goes, "By movie fans, really."
Mauler radicalised me.
But then again, doesn't that sound like callbacks to the first Scream when they're talking about movies don't create killers, just makes them more creative.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just another throwback to that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, completely. Or Mickey. Mickey says he's going to use the narrative of the movies twisting him so that he can get what he wants. These movies consistently show you that the killers are not serious about their stated motive. Like, Billy gives a stated motive, and then he reveals it only in the sort of final minutes to Sydney, pointing out why he's really doing things.
Yeah.
You know, don't take the killers at face value, gosh darn it. Exactly. I mean, again, you can see why people would hear it, but you and think, "Oh gosh, it's woke. It's given The Last Jedi the old Force reach around," but that is only if you're taking it at face value, and you absolutely should not.
Yeah, I mean, I believe his motive is that he wants a good stab film, and maybe he's got to the point where they were only good when they were following what was following in real life. So
Yeah, because they were only.
I'll do it Thanos. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, there was the first 3, wasn't it? The stab films.
Yeah,
that were
and then they went off,
accurate. Yeah, and then he went off the rails, started time traveling, went in space.
I've had time travel.
Flamethrowers and metallic masks.
Oh, there was a really cute thing as well where they point out the series goes to crap. Yeah, I didn't say crap in the fifth one.
In the fifth one,
and that fit this, but also it fit Scream 4 saying that Stab 5 is the worst one because of the time travel.
Time traveling, yeah, oh yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, that, just to point out as well, this is how bad they're saying Rian Johnson is. He directed and wrote Stab 8, which was apparently worse than a time travel story.
That was
which
amazing.
Is pretty hard to do.
They absolutely dabbed on him, I liked it. I mean, the fact that they didn't name him, but they made it clear it was him by saying the Knives Out guy.
The Knives Out director
is telling you that they were dabbing on him.
Yeah, which is even more amazing because Star Wars, like The Last Jedi, exists in this universe, and they went with the Knives Out director rather than the TLJ director. Just, like even in this universe, it's hated.
Absolute chads. Chads. We have done 2 hours 15 on this. Do we want anything else to say on the finale?
I was just gonna bring up. Did anyone else get because one of my favorite parts of the finale is I think what's great about this film is they allow the new characters to shine while also giving the OG characters a lot to do. And I think one of the things that I love about the Scream series is Sydney and Gale, and like watching Sydney do like really cool things. And I think they give her a lot of that. They give her plenty of those moments in this without taking away from the new cast, and I think it was really lovely. I loved the end kill. It was brutal when when Sydney and Gale got rid of Amber. That was really cool, and I loved how like when Gale says, "Do you want to do the honors?" and then she goes, "No, this is yours," because she killed Dewey, and I thought that was so cool to see her get revenge on her for that.
Yeah, is it? I thought it was a bit contrived when it's like, "Oh, I've just flicked the gas thing on, the hob on," but I mean, the rest of it was all right. And then they do the thing at the end where it's like, "Oh, the killer always comes back," and then she just shoots him like 4 times. And then it's Amber who comes back, and I'm like, I could see that coming.
I loved that because I loved it because it was Tara who shot Amber, and then she goes, "I still prefer the Babadook." Like that was.
Oh yeah. That was good.
I kind of need to see that film now because I've not seen that.
Oh, we will get to it when we start doing some psychological stuff.
Let's see if it's better than Scream 5 then.
2014, jeez.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean, after all that happens, you then have the kind of end bit where they're all going to hospital and stuff. And what I found really weird about this bit is that literally everyone's on stretchers apart from the 2 people that got shot.
Yes.
It's because they're used to it. They're used to it by now.
Has Gale been shot?
Yeah, she was shot in the first one.
Yeah.
She was shot in the second one.
Oh, she was.
I don't think Sydney was shot though, was she? She was stabbed.
I think she was stabbed. I'm pretty sure she was stabbed, yeah.
Still, though.
It's a bit...
Yeah, it
you got all
hurts.
these stretches.
I mean, she would be bleeding
Pop them
profusely.
in a blanket. Yeah, I'll just pop them in a blanket. That'll be fine. It's like they've been shot.
If anything, the stab wound would be worse because if the bullet hadn't left Gale, obviously that would be like plugging a wound. But for Sydney, if she got stabbed, yeah, she'd be in a worse state, surely. Yeah, depending on how deep it went.
But yeah, and then they're all having their little chats and whatever. It's like, oh, wait for Sam to come on. It's a nice. And then they have the same shot from Scream 1 as well, where the camera's coming out.
News report and all that.
Yeah, so good. I was looking for Stu in the windows.
So was I. I was like, surely no. But I'm telling you, Stu. It did the old thing where it sort of flashes up the killer, and that's normally an indication of a sequel because they didn't do that with the third one because they weren't planning to make a fourth one. So the fact that they did that with this one tells us that there's going to be a sixth one. And that is when Stu comes back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it here first.
Absolutely.
Sam Carpenter will be the other killer. There we go.
I believe it. I totally believe it.
Now I just need to figure out how it works.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I just like the way they left it with Gail wanting to write about Dewey in a nice way. I thought that was such good resolution for her.
That was sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it will work absolutely fine if they decide to sort of leave it for the legacy characters at this point. It's a loving tribute. It's really good. We should probably move on to scores and closing thoughts. So prep yourself for that. Chat, I'd love to see your scores coming up. I don't know if you all managed to see it, but I know you managed to stay in for the spoiler section. So I'd hope no one got spoiled unduly.
I hope you did. I hope I've ruined the film for you.
Same
Why
here.
are you watching
Same
a spoiler section if you're not seeing the film?
Are you just a glutton for punishment?
That's pants on head retarded.
I'm happy to lead off with the scoring and sort of frame it as I came out, as I said, I came out super hyped from this. I was really worried about it, but as we said, you know, be optimistic. It's a brand new creative team, and I think they did a really good job. There are issues with it. There are absolute issues, like Ghostface being very cocky in turning up in daylight, out in the open, in packed hospitals. You know, that's a bit of annoying. I've got minor peeves, like there being no message history between Gale and Dewey. That bugged me. That was like a prop fail. And sort of the stuff around the breakup for Gale and Dewey, obviously we had some issues with. I think I had some other stuff, but it's kind of minor. I can't remember it at the moment. For the premise where you're bringing in a lot of sort of relationships to old characters that have never been mentioned before, that was risky. I thought they pulled it off. I absolutely adored the cameo from Billy, and it just had that feeling with all the tributes that they put in, including the tributes to Wes. It had the feeling of a really loving tribute to the original. And there's really not much of a better commendation than the fact that it managed to do what the original Scream did. Scream was a response to bad slashers, showing you how to do a good slasher. I think this was a response to the requels, the soft reboots, showing you how to do a good one. All the points that they made, that Richie and Amber made about how to do it right. Well, I think it worked because Scream was a really good time. For me, I'd say it's a 10 out of 12 burgers, with a heck of a lot of ketchup and maybe a little jalapeno.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Little jalapeno. Given how they clearly showed that single parent families cause psycho killers, right, Haryan?
Exactly. Woodsboro is just a breeding ground for that type.
Charity, would you like to do closing thoughts and scores?
I would. I went into the film. Obviously, I was excited for a long time before. There was a period where I was a bit like apprehensive to see it, but then when I went in, I was made up with it. I think they balanced it very well. I think the humor's balanced amazingly with the scares. I think that they've balanced the new cast with the old cast brilliantly. They've done a really good job of closing off the story for the legacy cast members. I thought the kills were great and brutal, and I thought all the things that they needed to get right, they absolutely did. Of course, there are little things to do with it. I think a lot of that is as with the details you mentioned before, and I think also the pacing was quite fast, and I think could have been. I think we could have done with a few extra scenes here and there. But yeah, I genuinely loved it. I think it's probably the second favorite sequel. So I think Scream obviously being the best one. I think this one's gonna come after that. I think for me personally, and I think I'll give it. I'll be lovely. I'll give it an 11.
Nice.
Which,
Embrace the bias.
You know, I am. I don't care. With quite a bit of cheese on it, I think.
Oh, nice. Actually, that's a really good thing. I'm so glad you said. I should have asked. Yeah, we should rank it. We should rank the series now.
Oh, okay.
So, Charity, do you want to rank the series?
Yeah. So for me, it's Scream, Scream 5, Scream 4, Scream 2, and then Scream 3.
Respectable. I'll since I've given my score, I'll probably. I can't disagree too much. Scream 5, Scream 2, Scream 4, Scream 3. Then TCG, do you want to give yours?
5 out of 12.
Oh Christ!
Nice.
No.
Is what I would say if Ryan Johnson directed this film.
No, you wouldn't. You'd say 2 out of 12.
Schmooth.
Stop giving Ryan Johnson credit.
You'd give it minus.
No, because I'd say no, just because one for each Scream film. I don't want to bully it that hard. Nah, this was a solid sequel. I think after I came out of watching the film and I sort of tweeted a bit angrily, I think it was more centered around two factors. To the first factor being the way they screwed over Dewey's death for me. It could have remained a meaningful moment had they not said, "Oh, actually, yeah, the 5'2", 110-pound child has murdered him." And the other being, oh God, what was the other thing being? And it's gone. Fantastic. So it couldn't have been that important. But yeah, I think it was a solid sequel. I really appreciated the new characters. I thought the people who came in to play those roles were well suited. I thought Jenna Ortega was fantastic as Tara, and she really sold that opening scene well. Easily, if there was no Scream 1, that would be the best opening scene of a Scream movie. And I just can't dislodge the first film just because of its iconic. Just because of how iconic it is. I think in terms of the ranking, I'll give it a score first. It's a tough one. I'd probably say 7.5.
Okay.
Because, like I say, there are some issues, and I think that for me, the way they screwed Dewey over at the end was a big thing for me. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. I was wrong about Stu, but that's not really a. But that's not impact. That's not impacting the score. I don't know. Actually, no, 7.5's a bit harsh. I'll probably say about 8.5. 8.5. Not so much cheese as there was in the third or fourth ones. A few pickles because there were some spicy moments and some. Actually, no, we'll swap the pickles out for jalapenos because there were some really spicy moments, and we'll put some ketchup in the shape of an X-wing, just as a little nod to Ryan Johnson, just to make sure he knows this film really is taking a big dump on him.
Excellent. Ryan Johnson has to serve it to you.
Yeah, he has to serve it to me, and then I get to throw it back in his face. In terms of where I rank this movie or where I rank them off. Scream is obviously the first one is obviously going to be number one. I'd say Scream 2 just because I find it to be an extension of the first one. I would then probably have this one sitting third, and then I'd probably it'd probably be 1, 2, 5, 4, 3. That would be my ranking.
Respectable. Very respectable.
Yeah.
All right, and Haryan.
Hello.
Hello there.
Yes. Scream 5. We're gonna have to bring it back down to reality. There were issues with this film, I'm afraid, or what they did to Dewey. Bit of a Han Solo, bit of a reset. It was like Scream 2 and 3 where it's like Gale and Dewey are obviously supposed to be together and they're not, and at least this one had a reason that they're not together, I suppose, but that reason was just awful. Dewey wouldn't just leave in the middle of the night, even if he did hate New York. But
True.
yes, and then,
very true.
And then from there we have his death scene, which as I kind of went through, like, he's got a ranged weapon. He has this thing called a gun. He doesn't have to get into stabby range for it and then get distracted by his phone. On the bright side, he did shoot 6 bullets, and there were 6 bullets that fell out when he reloaded. I thought that was good.
Bullet autism every
Yes.
time. Drink
yes,
if you're playing the Haryan game.
It was also weird when like Sydney's like, oh, of course I have a gun. I'm Sydney Prescott, and then she goes there, doesn't have a gun, and has to take Gale's. That was weird.
Also, no, you know why that was though, Harry? Because she had to make room for all the tracking devices that she was carrying.
Well, exactly. Yes, she had. Yeah, she's basically Batman. So, and then as we say, Ghostface. The hospital scene again, not as bad as 4's, but still pretty bad. And then you've got Judy Hicks' death. Having said all that, the kill in the car park, I really like. Most of the finale. I'll need to watch it again, but I can't think of any problems that stick out.
Sorry, I'd argue that Scream 5's hospital scene was worse than Scream 4, just by virtue of, as I said, Scream 4 at least acknowledged that it was stupid or silly, in Jill's words. Like, they acknowledged it.
Better if they admit it's stupid.
It does if they're acknowledging it. Like, yeah, we understand this is silly, but that in Scream 5 they took it seriously. It's like no, people didn't like the hospital last time. Why are you taking us back here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going off, oh, that one's better because it thinks it's bad. They're both bad.
I'm not saying I'm not saying that one's good and the other. I'm just saying
true.
One was more self-aware than the other.
Yeah, but and I think as well the new characters in this one, they're just so much better than the new characters in say 4 and 3 and 2. They seem like they feel like they're here to stay, especially because half of them survive stab wounds, and which is another issue. And I mean, they need to do a lot of work on Sam, because Sam was basically just something that we get to see Billy through more than a character who likes a sister and is Billy Loomis's kid. And also, I don't remember any Mexicans in Scream 1 that Billy could have got with. To have half Mexican kids, but that's just me. I unironically, I saw on Twitter someone trying to make the claim that, oh no, Billy's obviously just got Latinx ancestry, and I'm like,
oh god,
what? That's not how genetics work. And then there were neat callbacks to previous films. Randy's sister was in it for about as much as Scream 3.
That was so cute.
Oh,
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, I love that.
There was one other glaring thing that I forgot to mention as well that I had a problem with. So, because we haven't really touched upon Sam that much. Now, the reason why Sam buggered off when she turned 18 was because of this. Apparently, her dad being Billy Loomis was this massive secret that nobody, not even her sister, knew. All right, and she just couldn't be around, and so she had to go away to protect Tara from this deep, dark secret. And then when she comes back, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, your mum was a drunk. She spoke and she went around the town just shouting it out from the rooftops. Yeah, Sam's Billy's daughter. Yeah. And it's like, right, okay. So the entire town knows. In fact, interestingly, when Sydney is introduced to Sam, right, she's like, oh, I'm Sam. She's like, oh yeah, you're Billy's daughter. It's like, I don't remember anyone saying it to her. So unless that rumor got that far and that early on, but Amber turns around because she's like, yeah, she's like, oh, you're Billy's daughter. She's like, how do you know? She's like, your mum was a drunk. She told everyone. And it's like, well, Tara didn't know. How did Tara not know? If the mum's such a loudmouth, it's like the whole reason why she ran away is because of this one thing, and it actually doesn't matter because the entire town flipping knew anyway.
She ran away because she was abused by the mum, because the mum blamed her for the breakup.
Well, yeah, but also the fact that,
and she felt like she destroyed the family.
Yeah,
but it was
Dad ran away.
But it was also a massive secret that needed to be kept, and it took her all these years to tell her, and it's actually it don't matter. Everyone knew.
To be fair, someone know that because she cut off all ties there.
I know Sam wouldn't know that, but I mean, Tara didn't seem to know at the time.
When
she told her.
I'm also very impressed that 2 bowling alley attendants managed to get like a random week off work.
I thought that as well.
No, we're quibbling. Get out of the quibble zone.
Anyway, score time. Yes, so it's generally solid plot. They do have really good ideas as well, like with what's it called? Richie being the one of the killers. He took one inhaler and Amber had the other, and that's how they managed to force them to get to that house. I'm like, really cool ideas, and things that work in there, along with things that suck. So with all that bearing in mind, I think this is very middle of the road. This is definitely better than any other sequel. So it does get a higher score, but not that much higher. I'd probably put it about a 6 out of 12 with cheese. So with that bearing in mind, I think my other scores for Scream 1 were 5, was at 8, sorry, and the other films were all 5s. So I'm gonna have to rank that. So obviously Scream 1, then Scream 5. And I'd probably go Scream 4, 2, then 3 for that ranking.
Okay.
So there you
go.
Considerable agreement at the start, and then we're starting to differ a little bit towards the end, understandably. I respect your consistency with that, Haryan.
Good.
Right. Do you want the prediction?
Yes, I do.
I'll give Horrorshow some credit. She came in early with this prediction, by the way. It was the 15th, so yeah, it was literally a day after. In fact, probably while you were watching the film. So just bear that in mind. So prediction for Haryan: he's going to notice the 2 different fights happen in the finale and don't interact with each other issue. He's also likely going to be annoyed with the timing needed to cost Dewey his life. Haryan will also be annoyed by the sheer number of times Ghostface is out in the open in daylight and daytime. I don't think he'll notice the issue with Amber's height when she's Ghostface. The Billy Loomis daughter thing is unlikely to work for him either. However, he will like that we had time to bond to the new group and found them likeable. He'll also like the continuity for Sydney, Gale and Dewey, but might question where Deputy Hicks pulled an 18-year-old son from. I haven't read this all myself. He might have hoped that Dewey and Judy shared a night shift or two. The scares will have worked out. By the way, the is actually is there. I'm not just doing that. The scares will have worked on him, and he'll have found the kills effective and gruesome. He'll also enjoy the humour a lot. I think he'll find the meta appropriate and well judged, and the tribute will win him over. It's going to be a strong one for him, and he'll rate it higher than Scream 2, 3 or 4. Which he did.
I did, but what was the actual score that you went with?
It's going to be a 7.5 or an 8 if he finds Amber or Chad attractive enough.
Nah, wasn't that high. Oh yeah, you got everything right. Just score wasn't that high. Which I mean, to be fair, I need to see it again to really consolidate, because I've not been able to like go through each scene and check things.
Yeah, this is a bit of a different one, isn't it? Because like normally we can just sort of call back to it and or sometimes even have like the film up in the background just so we're reminding ourselves off screen.
Yeah, exactly.
It is difficult doing it all from the recall, I've got to be honest.
Yeah. But I mean, I personally really enjoyed the film. I thought it was pretty good for the most part. It was enjoyable. I definitely, again, it's not, in terms of would I watch it again, I absolutely would. It's not, it's not definitely. It's not like The Last Jedi where it's turned me off the franchise completely. I would definitely come back to this one. I would welcome it into the franchise with open arms, and I look forward to seeing what they do with it next. I think it's in a good place at the moment. There were worries after Scream 4, weren't there? And they thought that was pretty much it for it. I think this film has really genuinely revived the spirit of it, and we'll have to wait and see.
Definitely rescued it. It in some ways it repeats stuff from Scream 4, but it integrates them well. Lessons learned. I don't know if we'll get a sequel, but I know I'm going to watch whatever the directors do next.
We will. Ghostface appeared at the end.
Excited.
We'll get a new one.
And we will be there to review it We will be there, unless we're banned off YouTube. I don't know. So, so I'm going to reiterate thanks to guests. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who came along on this journey. We've done this for 5 weeks now. It's the longest arc we've ever done. It's a bit of a special one, and I've enjoyed it. I'm also breathing something of a sigh of relief. We're going to cover some different stuff now, and and sorry, can I get a clarification? Sorry, in the private chat, can I get a clarification on that? Oh, I know the one you mean. Sorry, folks. Back end stuff, all fun. Sorry. I suppose now we've got to the end, I can give you the a little spoiler warning, a little advanced knowledge.
Go on.
As I've said, there are no more Scream movies for us to review at the moment, except for a random movie called Scream that was completely unrelated to this and written by a stunt performer. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to have a bit of fun. We're going to put our feet up and we're going to watch a very silly looking movie that we did the trailer review for.
Oh, yes!
Oh, no.
We're doing Shadow in the Cloud, baby.
Yes!
We reviewed it
I
for
remember
Zen.
you
I think
talking
we've
about
got
this.
Zen coming back on. It looks like this bizarre mix of the Twilight Zone and Resident Evil. It looks absolutely nonsense.
It looks
It's
so
gonna be a
retarded.
It should be a hoot. You can find Shadow in the Cloud on Amazon Prime. It is there for free. Last time I checked, but I imagine there will be other places on the internet you can find it as well. So
Hell
watch Shadow in the Cloud with Chloe Grace Moretz.
Something like that.
Mortez, yeah. Moretz, no, yeah.
Moretz,
Sorry.
yeah. And
Tourette's.
and probably have a beer or two with you, because I think it's that kind of film. Or even a cheeky Vocaray, if you are Fez. I know he is a man of culture.
It's gonna be woke trash.
Oh, it'll be terrible. I love it. Oh dear.
I bet all the straight white men die.
Actual Justice Warrior has entered the chat.
Uh-oh.
All right, but that's enough. We should round things off. So, TCG, I gather you've got something on the go.
Keep an eye out on the channel this week, guys, because there is a video coming. There actually is one for now.
Ooh.
The theme continues.
We aren't done. We are not done.
We're not done with Scream, but I'm gonna take you back to where it all really began, and we're gonna be looking at the Gainesville Ripper case. This is the story that actually inspired Scream. So stick around. I subscribe to That Crime Guy. Hit the notification bell, all that jazz, so you can stay alerted. And yeah, this will be up later this week. Script's done, image sourcing is done. I just need to record it and put it together.
I love this. This is such a nice tribute, BK.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah. How about you, Charity? Closing thoughts? Anything you want to shill?
Just thank you for asking me to come on. Again, I was really excited to watch the film, obviously, and review it. But I am working on a video at the moment. I just got to get some university stuff sorted, and then I can jump into editing it, and then it'll be out in the next couple of weeks. I think it's probably going to be quite a long one, but I think it'll be worth the watch.
Nice. Oh, so can we invite you back?
Yeah.
Excellent. On future arcs, expect an invitation.
Oh no, I do really. I thank you for asking me to come on as well. I really enjoy coming on here, like when I've been on.
Oh, sweet. We love having you. And Haryan, anything to shill, sir?
I've not made a video in over a week at this point because I've been far too busy. But hopefully tomorrow I should have a video out in the afternoon. Probably going to be on the BBC, finally having its license fee revoked, and I want to see everyone who has been paid by the BBC read about it.
So good.
So yes, excellent news there. But yeah, that's and regional variations tomorrow night on Tell Features channel. And I need to get guests for laughing at the Guardian, but that's a me problem. All right.
Nifty.
There you go.
All right. Well, I've been weirdly productive. I've put out a couple of videos. I did a edited version for TCG's prediction. I also put this bad boy out, which is a little unusual for the channel, but I think you'll enjoy it. If you haven't seen my video, How to Miss Propaganda, give it a watch. I'm very, very pleased with it. And I have randomly enough a video coming out on Spider-Man Far From Home. It is just a quick one.
What?
But, I know.
I didn't realise it was that horrific.
I had a random thought about it and I had to make a video. And the Clive Barker one is in the works, so that will come out very soon. But yes, definitely go watch the How to Miss Propaganda video. I'm really happy with it. But yeah, I'm going to leave it now. I'm going to sign off, reiterating thanks to my wonderful guests, reiterating thanks to you in the chat, keeping it nice and lively and fun, reminding you to watch Shadow in the Cloud for your horror homework. Tell people who might be interested in our channel about what we do here, and have a very good night. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.